A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
And now, Backstage Wife, the story of Mary Noble and what it means to be the wife of a famous star. The repeated failures of wealthy Rupert Barlow to win Mary's romantic attention have only strengthened his determination, and now his interest in her has become an obsession. He knows that Mary is soon to leave the New York hospital where she's recovering from the acid burns inflicted by the enraged Claudia Vincent. And he doesn't want her to carry out her plan to fly to Hollywood to join her husband Larry, who's making a picture out there. Last night, he sent a special delivery airmail letter to the coast in a carefully disguised handwriting. This morning, as he prepares to leave his apartment overlooking Central Park, his man Victor approaches and says,
Well, when do we ship out, boss? Everything's ready to sail aboard your yacht, and the crew keeps asking me about plans.
We'll sail when I give the word, and not before, Victor.
Yes, sir. I only thought maybe you might have some idea when it's going to be.
Within the next few days. You'll be notified when the time comes, Victor.
Yes, sir. It's sure going to be good to get away. You, got anybody coming along with you?
I haven't decided yet, and I don't want to be pestered with questions.
I was only asking, Mr. Barlow.
Well, it's a very bad habit of yours, Victor. You're getting out of hand again.
Yes, sir. Is there anything else?
I'm on my way to the hospital now to see Mrs. Noble. I won't need you for the time being.
How's she getting along, Mr. Barlow?
Very well. She expects to leave the hospital within the next day or two.
I guess she's pretty lucky after being burned like that.
Yes. No visible marks of the damage that was done. Now, then I'll just pick up those papers. Victor.
Yes, sir?
Where are those papers I left on this table?
Papers, sir? What kind of papers?
Some confidential reports. I put them out on this table, now I don't see them. What's happened to them?
I don't know, boss. I didn't see any papers.
Well, I put them right here. Now they're gone. You must have put them away somewhere.
Honest, Mr. Barlow, I didn't see any papers. I've been so busy getting things set on the boat that I haven't had a chance to look around here much.
Well, those papers couldn't just disappear. Someone must have taken them.
Oh, maybe one of the maids. They've been cleaning up. Maybe they put them away.
Well, find out. And make sure you get them back. Tell them in the future that I don't want anything disturbed. You better have a talk with the housekeeper in the hotel and give her my instructions.
Yes, Mr. Barlow. I'll see you right away.
Be sure to have those reports back when I return.
Yes, sir. I'll look into it right away.
And put them on the desk, so I'll be sure to find them. I'm going out now. I don't know when I'll be back.
Yes, sir, Mr. Barlow. No, sir. Whatever you say, sir. I'll just wait around for your orders. I won't forget that I'm only the hired hand. That's what you think. Yeah, those papers, those reports. I guess you don't want them to get out of your hands. So you're having a Noble guy shadowed out in Hollywood. So you think maybe you can rake up some trouble and get that Mrs. Noble to give her husband the air and come on that cruise on your boat. Wouldn't that be a great trip? Well, maybe I got a couple ideas of my own about it. Maybe if I showed those reports to Miss Julia Dixon, she'd have something to say about it. Yeah. I bet your faithful housekeeper's getting kind of restless out there on Long Island all this time, Mr. Barlow. Wondering what you're up to? You'll get your reports, all right. But not till I'm through with them.
And later this same day, we find Rupert Barlow in Mary Noble's room at the hospital. She's pleased and excited, as she says.
Dr. Allen says I can leave here tomorrow. I'm getting my things together, and I'm so excited I can hardly bear it.
Oh, that's wonderful, Mary.
Oh, Rupert, I can hardly realize it. Actually, to be leaving here. And to know that I'm not going to be disfigured by scars. Why, it's almost too good to be true.
Where will you go when you leave here?
I'm going to our home in Rosehaven first to see Larry Jr. I didn't dare have them bring him to the hospital or let him know what had happened to me. It would frighten him so. He thinks I've been away on a trip with Larry.
And how long do you expect to stay on Long Island?
Oh, just a day or two. Dr. Allen wants me to report back for a checkup before I leave for Hollywood.
Has he given his consent for the trip, Mary?
Why, not in so many words, but there's no question about it. I'm flying to the coast as soon as possible.
Well, don't you think you should consult Dr. Allen before you make any definite plans? I was under the impression that he disapproved of the trip west. I thought he said you needed a rest.
He did, Rupert. But he just doesn't understand that I'll be much better off when I'm with Larry. It's only fair to let him see for himself that I'm all right. It will ease his mind, poor darling. It's been a terrible strain for him, too.
I don't like to interfere, Mary, but on the other hand, I do want to spare you any possible disappointment.
Disappointment? What do you mean?
Well, it's just possible that your sudden appearance in Hollywood would be inconvenient, inopportune.
Do you think Larry will be too busy to see me?
I think it's possible, Mary.
Oh, that doesn't matter. I know he'll be working all day, but that will give me a chance to rest. And I know Larry will be glad to see me.
I hope so, my dear. For your sake.
Rupert, I don't understand these veiled illusions. There's something you think I ought to know. I wish you'd tell me and get it over with.
Well, it isn't quite as easy as that, Mary. You see, I'm anxious to shield you from any distress or disappointment. And it's for that reason that I wish you'd consider my suggestion. And the suggestion of your own doctor. To take a short vacation before you rejoin your husband on the coast.
But why, Rupert? I don't mean to be ungrateful for your offer to let me be one of the guests on your yacht. It was very kind of you. And I know that my nurse, Miss Clark, will be heartbroken that she misses the chance to go aboard such a lovely boat. But surely you understand that I couldn't accept, even if I weren't so anxious to see Larry.
Well, I'm afraid I don't understand at all, Mary, my dear.
Oh, after all the gossip that has circulated about us, Rupert, you wouldn't want to give it a chance to start up again.
As long as we know the truth and understand that there's no basis for any criticism, isn't that enough?
Not quite. I couldn't possibly tell Larry that I was going on a cruise on your yacht, while he's working so hard in Hollywood, just so he can pay the bills I've run up all these weeks in the hospital.
Bills you've run up because you saved his life. Don't forget that, Mary.
Oh, it doesn't matter, Rupert. Nothing matters now. I'll go home to Rosehaven tomorrow. I'll see Larry Jr. And I'll pack my things and be ready to start as soon as Dr. Allen says I can go.
Oh, well, at least you'll allow me to drive you down to Long Island.
It's very sweet of you to offer, Rupert.
Well, it would give me great pleasure to drive you safely home.
Then I accept, with deepest thanks. Oh, Rupert, I feel so happy. As if the weight of the world had fallen from my shoulders. In a few short days, I'll be with Larry.
I hope you'll find him worthy of your devotion.
Oh, he is. I know that more surely than anything else.
So you won't even give me a casual thought or a moment of regret while you're gone?
You'll be sailing out over the blue waters of the Caribbean on that glorious yacht. I don't think you need much in the way of sympathy, Rupert. Is Julia Dixon going with you?
What makes you ask that?
Why, only that it seems so probable that she'll be with you. After all, Julia is more devoted to you than anyone else.
I suppose you're going to tell me next that this trip would serve as a lovely excuse for me to marry Julia.
Well, that's hardly for me to say, Rupert. That's up to you and Julia.
Exactly. I sometimes wish people would remember that. I'm forever having others trying to run my life to get me married off.
But I thought... Well, I mean, you said...
Perhaps at one time I did consider the possibility of marrying Julia Dixon. That was a long time ago. And for 10 years she's lived with that hope and never let me forget it. I doubt if it's a very good basis for a happy married life. What's more, I wish you, of all people, wouldn't try to marry me off.
Rupert, I can't understand why you're suddenly so angry. I didn't mean to suggest...
Well, let's not say any more about it. I must leave now, but I'll be back tomorrow to pick you up. Has Dr. Allen told you what time you may leave?
No, but I should think around noon.
Oh, very well. Perhaps I can reach him in the meantime and find out exactly what he wants you to do. Goodbye, my dear. For now.
Goodbye, Rupert. And thanks for everything.
Rupert Barlow leaves without saying anything more, and Mary Noble wonders at this sudden, moody silence. But she's far too happy at the prospect of leaving the hospital to worry for long. And later this same day, on the Marco and Franklin lot in Hollywood, Larry Noble comes off the set hot and tired after a long session in front of the banks of blazing lights. And a messenger boy hands him a letter and walks away. Larry looks at the envelope as he returns to his dressing room, and once inside...
Larry Noble. Care of Marco and Franklin Studio, Hollywood, California. Now, who the devil could this be from? Airmail special delivery. From New York. Well, I don't recognize the writing, so I may as well see. Larry Noble. You'd better watch your step these days, because your wife is having you shadowed while you're out there, so she can get evidence for a divorce. A word to the wise from a friend.
Larry Noble looks at the note in his hand, scarcely believing his eyes. But then he remembers the strange man who tried to get by the studio gate, and the car that has been following him. And he suddenly looks angry. Be sure to be listening Monday to Backstage Wife, the story of Mary Noble and her husband Larry Noble, famous Broadway star.
If I were you, I wouldn't believe a word of this story. I'm still not sure if Rosie does, and as a matter of fact, I'm not so sure if I do myself. And that's going some, because it happened to me. And if I can't believe it, well, who can? I suppose it could have happened to anybody, although, on the other hand, maybe it couldn't have happened to nobody. And that's pretty mixed up, so maybe I'd better begin at the beginning. And in this case, that's not so easy as it sounds. For one thing, there's the question of where is the beginning? Well, anyways, I'm Sam Yoder. I'm a telephone lineman for the Batesville and Rappahannock Telephone Company. I got into that line of work because I was in a wire platoon during the war. I've been up more trees in the Ardennes forest in Belgium than anybody, except maybe a couple of squirrels, and they didn't have to string telephone wires. I guess it started because Rosie, she was my girl, Rosie. She thought I lacked ambition.
And also get up and go.
Yeah, anytime you say, honey, except it's one of those jitterbug things, and I can't jitter much.
I don't mean dance. I mean stick-to-itiveness.
Now, honey, that's ridiculous. A telephone lineman has more stick-to-itiveness than anybody, or he'd fall right off the pole.
Huh?
Want another drink?
Sam, are you trying to get me drunk?
No. Well, only there's a $3.50 minimum in this place, and I hate to see it go to waste.
I'm discussing your future, Sam.
Okay.
Do you think a telephone lineman's life is right for you?
Well, has its ups and downs.
Sam.
I'm sorry.
I warned you. Once more, and I'm going to ask you to take me home, even with a $3.50 minimum unexpired.
Yeah, okay, honey.
Now, what are you doing to improve yourself?
Nothing, I guess.
Why don't you take one of those correspondence courses? You know, the ones with a picture of Arthur Godfrey, and he says, I was awful in high school arithmetic till I sent in the coupon.
What does he need with high school arithmetic?
It's the principle of the thing. Sam, I'd hate to think I was engaged to a man who didn't improve himself.
Well, I'll figure something out.
You don't want to spend all your life with your arms around a pole.
Well, it was all right with George Sand.
Is he working at the company now?
No. George Sand. She was in...
She?
Yeah, sure, honey. It was a pen name. You see, she was in love with Chopin. You get it?
No.
Well, he was a pole, you see? Arms around a pole. You get it now?
Yes. Now I get it. Sam, take me home immediately.
She's like that. No sense of humor, know what I mean? But listen, when you climb up and down telephone poles all day, you get tired of something that's straight up and down. Rosie was a refreshing change. You know what I mean? Wow. But she had something. I mean, in the conversation. So I started taking those electronic courses, you know. I'd been at it a couple of months when I asked Rosie to come down to my basement.
I certainly will not.
Well, why not, baby?
Sam Yoder, I'm a respectable girl.
Honey, if I had anything else in mind, would I ask you to leave a nice, comfortable porch swing to go down to a whitewashed concrete basement?
I guess not.
Okay. Come on. I want you to see something.
What?
Now, that's a big surprise. Right here, over on the bench. Take a look.
Sam Yoder, have you been taking Papa's television set apart again?
No, honey, not...
Last time you got the channels mixed up and all Papa could get was Jane Mansfield. Mama had to finally take the fuse out and hide it.
It's not a television set. It's my invention.
Oh. What does it do?
Well, I got the idea at the shop. I was looking at the blueprints of the multiple circuit stuff. You know, how to send 100 messages over the same wire. Well, I got this idea about how to have private conversations on the party line. Actually, I got the idea calling you up with the whole street listening in.
Does it work?
Well, almost. I got a few bugs in this mess of garbage here.
Sam, that's no way to talk.
Well, honey, all the engineers talk that way, and they're college men with fraternity pins.
Well, then I guess it's all right. When will you have this fixed up?
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to tinker with it a little. It's just like you, honey.
Sam, you do not have to tinker with me.
Honey, I mean electrically like you. High voltage and a lot of current, but too much resistance. You get it, honey? I mean like an electrical circuit? Resistance is...
I get it. Sam, take me home immediately.
I was thinking of my invention on next Friday, July 2nd, about 6 o'clock. I was up a pole near Bridges Run, hunting for a break where the party line went dead. I hooked in my linesman's phone, but I couldn't get central. I was just about to pull my phone and get down when... Hey, that's impossible. The line checked out dead. Hello, who's this?
Sam, this is you.
Huh? What's that?
This is you. You, Sam Yoder. Don't you recognize your own voice? This is you, Sam Yoder, calling from the 12th of July.
Look, Mac, I'm working and I'm 50 feet up.
Don't hang up.
I'm not hanging up, but you'd better. Now, wait a minute. Do I know you? The voice is familiar.
Sam, it's the 2nd of July where you are, and you're up a pole by Bridges Run. The line's dead in 2 places, or else I couldn't talk to you. Lucky, huh?
Whoever you are, it isn't going to be lucky for you.
But I'm you, and you're me. We're both the same Sam Yoder, only where I am, it's July 12th. Where you are, it's July 2nd. You've heard of time traveling? Well, this is time talking. You're talking to yourself. That's me. And I'm talking to myself. That's you. And it looks like we've got mighty good chances to get rich.
Look, I don't believe this.
All right, then listen. Do you remember the time you were out with Rosie at the drive-in movie over at the Wing? And the couple in the convertible next to you were naked. And then Rosie...
Well, never mind what he said. It was something only me and Rosie would know about. Nobody else in the whole world, so I knew he was me. I was he, him. We were the same. He told me what he wanted me to do, and then he told me where the brakes were in the line and hung up. Well, I cut loose down the pole, and my irons only hit it twice from the top to the bottom. I was sweating and shaking a little, and it didn't help any when I found the 2 brakes right where the voice said it would be. But that wasn't any more impossible than anything else. I called into Central and told them I was sick, which wasn't particularly untrue anyway. And then I went home and made myself a cup of coffee, and pretty soon I was muttering to myself, which I don't say now in order to make telling the story easy. But I do it all the time. It's like this. You got a good cup of coffee here, Sam, old boy. Instant, but strong. Oh, now there isn't any weak-mindedness in my family, and the company psychologist said I grew up stable. Was it inner stable? Well, anyway, nobody but Rosie knows I told her nose is so cute I couldn't believe she ever had to blow it. Maybe it was me talking to myself. Don't it, Sam? Don't mind if I do. I talk to myself just sitting over coffee. Why shouldn't I talk to myself on the telephone? From the middle of next week. On a dead line. I wonder if that psychologist was right. More coffee, Sam? Just a little to hot it up. When? Now, look, if somebody drove over to Rappahannock past Dunsville and telephoned back that there was a brush fire at Dunsville, I wouldn't be surprised to get to Dunsville and find a brush fire there. So, if somebody phones back from next Tuesday that Mr. Broadus has broke his leg next Tuesday, why should I be surprised to get to next Tuesday and find out he'd done it? More coffee, Sam? No, thanks. I couldn't touch another drop. See what I mean? Pretty soon I began to realize there was money in this thing, and I got to work on my invention, the one I meant to use for private calls on party lines. I got out the soldering iron and a bunch of components I liberated from the phone company, and I started to rearrange the circuits the way that voice on the telephone had told me to. It was a real breadboard job with wires hanging out of it like spaghetti, but finally I was done. I spliced my gadget onto my phone, then I broke the line to Central, rang it, and half a minute later... Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Sam. This is you in the 2nd of July.
You got it all fixed up, huh?
Yeah, it looks awful.
Well, that's okay. You can straighten it out later. Okay, Sam, now we get rich together.
Look, Sam, I want to ask you a few things about this gadget. Now, you know where those 4 transistors are hooked up bridging the...
Look, Sam, you mind if we don't go into that right now?
Yeah, but I want to know if I reverse the leads, will I...
Some other time.
Well, if you're too busy to talk...
I'll tell you. I am kind of busy right now. You'll understand when you get to where I am.
Look, I worked 6 hours on that thing because you said to it.
Don't get mad, Sam. I'll tell you what. You go see Rosie and tell her about this and have a nice evening. Ha-ha.
What do you mean, ha-ha?
You'll find out. Knowing what I know, I'll even double it. Ha-ha. Ha-ha.
I went over to Rosie's house. Her old man was watching Diana Dors on the television, and her mother was watching her old man, so I took Rosie by the hand and led her out onto the porch. I could see the moon glinting off eyeglasses as all the neighbor ladies leaned forward in their porch rockers to watch us. I always felt a responsibility to those ladies, and usually I try to make it worthwhile to them staying up so far past their bedtimes. But tonight, I had other things on my mind.
Sam, you didn't slick down your cowlick. I've told you, if you go on a date without slicking down your cowlick, it shows you have no respect for the girl.
Rosie, forget my cowlick, huh?
I could go inside and get some mustache wax. Pa keeps it because his crew cut always goes limp when the humidity gets above 60%.
Rosie, will you listen to me? I've made up my mind to get rich. You ought to have everything your little heart desires. Now, suppose you tell me just what you want.
I want your cowlick to lie down so I won't be ashamed in front of the neighbors.
No, honey. Mink, chinchilla, a sports car, anything, whatever you want.
Do you feel all right?
Now, listen, honey. Nobody knows it, but tonight Joe Hunt and the widow Backus are eloping to North Carolina to get married. We'll find out about it tomorrow. And day after tomorrow, on the 4th of July, Dunsville is going to win the baseball game with Bravensburg, 7-5, all tied till the 9th inning, and then George Peavy is going to hit a homer with Fred Holmes on second base. There was a brief silence interrupted only by the sound of Pa's rocker going over as he tried to get a better angle on Diana Dors. I don't know how many times I've explained to him you can't improve on the view on a 2-dimensional TV screen by craning your neck. But he says you can't overcome a lifetime of habit. Well, anyways, I explained to Rosie about Sam in the week after next telling me all these things and how we were going to get rich.
Sam, somebody was playing a joke on you.
Oh, yeah? Well, who else but me knows what you said that time you thought I was mad at you and you were crying down behind McHenry's ice house?
Sam, I told you when I read those words on that board fence I didn't know what they meant.
And nobody else knows about the time we were picnicking and the bug got down the front of your sunback dress and you thought it was a hornet.
Sam Yoder, you never told anybody about that.
No, but the me in the week after next knew. He told me, so he had to be talking to me. It couldn't be anybody else.
Sam, either you've told somebody else everything we ever said or did, or else there's somebody else who knows. That's awful.
But, honey, it's me.
This other person knows everything we say, even now?
Sure.
Sam Yoder, you go home.
But, honey...
Do you think I'm going to talk to you when somebody else listens to every word I say and knows everything I do? Do you think I'm going to marry you?
But, Rosie, it's just between the two of us. You, me, and me next week. Rosie. I stayed around till her father came out and asked me to go home so Rosie could finish crying and he could watch Hell's Angels on the Late Show in peace. On the way back to my house, I got madder and madder. Sam, in the week after next, could have warned me about this, the louse. Well, I plugged in my gadget and rang, but I guess there was nobody home on July 12th because there wasn't any answer. And there wasn't any that night when I got home from work either. So I went around to see Rosie.
The only reason I'm talking to you, Sam Yoder, is that Pa's inside sneering at Dorothy Kilgallen on What's My Line, and I don't think it's polite.
You still mad at me?
I never was mad at you. I'm mad at whoever was talking to you on the phone and knows all our private secrets. And I'm mad at you if you told him.
Well, honey, I didn't have to tell him. He's me. All he has to do is just remember. I tried to call him again last night and this morning, but he doesn't answer. Maybe he's gone off somewhere.
Do you think it's polite to sneer at Dorothy Kilgallen? She knows so many important people by their first names, lots of them even for short.
You think maybe it's all an illusion?
You told me last night there'd be an elopement, and there was. Joe Hunt and the widow Backus, just like you said.
Well, could have been a coincidence.
I'm waiting to see if Dunsville beats Bradensburg 7-5 tomorrow.
Yeah, I bet $11 on it.
If that happens, I'll die.
Why, honey?
Because it'll mean that I can't marry you, ever. Because somebody else would be looking over your shoulder, and we would never be by ourselves all our lives, day or night.
The next day in the big 4th of July ball game, it was tied in the ninth. Then George Peavy hit a homer with Fred Holmes on second base, and Dunsville beat Bradensburg 7-5. I collected my bet, but the $11 turned to ashes in my mouth. I didn't go over to Rosie's that night. I stayed home and kept trying to call myself up on that gadget that I told myself how to fix up. It was a moonlit night, the kind I usually spend with Rosie while her old man watches the $1 Million movie for the 7th time on TV, hoping that the ending will come out different. But there I was in the basement trying to call up the week after next, and nobody home. In the morning, I woke up suddenly. I thought it was the alarm clock, but it wasn't. Hey, I left the gadget on. Oh, wait, don't go away. Wait. Hello?
Don't get upset, Sam. Rosie's going to make up with you.
How do you know what she's going to do? She won't marry me with you hanging around. I've been trying to figure out a way to get rid of you.
Quiet. I'm busy. I got to go collect the money you made for us.
You collect money? I get in trouble and you collect money?
I have to, or you wouldn't get it. Now, listen, where you are, it's Wednesday. You're going over to Dunsville today to fix some phones. You'll be in Mr. Broadus' law office about 10:30. Now, you look out of the window and notice a fella sitting in a car in front of the bank. Notice him good.
I won't do it. I won't take orders from you. Maybe you're me, but I make a bet and you collect it. For all I know, you spend it before I get to it. Now, I'm quitting this business right now. It's cost me my girl and my peace of mind and to blazes with it.
Okay? Okay, Sam. Just wait and see.
The trouble with a story like this when you tell it is there isn't any suspense, like one of those old movies where a gypsy fortune teller tells George Raft he's going to be head gangster and fall in love and finally get shot by his best friend, played by Ralph Bellamy. And then the rest of the picture just goes like a local commuter train following a schedule. Well, sure enough, I was ordered over to Dunsville to fix the phones in Mr. Broadus' office. Well, at 10:30, I happened to look out of the window, and there, sitting in a car with the motor running, was a reddish-haired man. Then suddenly 2 other men come running out of the bank carrying bags. Mr. Harrison, the guard, is shooting at them. And they're shooting back. And the car takes off like a big bird and shoots out of town. And Fred Hale comes tearing after him in the squad car right down Olympia Street. Unfortunately, Mrs. Monroe was turning left into the supermarket parking lot. She happened to be coming from the far right lane. And so the bank robbers got away clean with $35,000. They'd cut all the wires out of town where they crossed Goose Creek, and so they sent me right out to fix it. I was up the pole right next to the creek, working, and, like usual, talking to myself. Sam? Sam, do you realize what that was? A bank robbery. You, in the middle of next week, told you to come over here and watch a bank robbery. But you didn't tell yourself what for. You didn't tell yourself to stop it. Sam, that other you is a born crook. Then I realized it wasn't another me. It was me a week and a half later. If he was a born crook, so was I. Nothing could happen in a week and a half to change character like that. I couldn't even turn myself into the cops, because nobody would believe it. I suddenly realized I was an accessory before and after the fact of that bank robbery. And then I realized there was only one thing to do. That night I drove over to Rosie's house. Her father had a jacket and tie on because he was expecting to visit Her Supreme Highness Princess Grace of Monaco and Slapsy Maxie Rosenblum with Ed Morrow face to face. I took Rosie out to the porch just as the princess invited Ed and Rosie's old man into a closet to see her shoes.
Sam, what's the matter? You look awful.
I am awful. Rosie, I come to tell you goodbye. I just found out I'm a criminal, so I better go and commit my crimes far away from hearth and friends who would be hurt.
Sam, what's happened now?
That bank robbery. I knew all about it before it happened. I called myself up and told myself, but I didn't let myself stop it. Don't you see? I'm an accessory both ways against the middle. I'm a criminal. So, Rosie, goodbye.
Sam, you sit right down.
Oh, it's in the blood, I guess, or the genes. What do you think in my case it was environment rather than heredity?
Now, Sam, you haven't done anything yet. It's that other you.
But I'm going to have done something. I'm doomed to be a criminal.
Well, I'm going to reform you.
What?
I'm going to reform you before you start. I'm going to stay with you from now on, every place you go.
But, Rosie, I climb poles.
I'll wear my tapered slacks. You won't do anything criminal with me along. And if that other you starts talking to you on the telephone, I'm going to climb the pole and tell him where he gets off.
And that's just what she did. Wherever I went, Rosie went right along with me, carrying a 10-inch crescent wrench in case of emergencies, wearing her tapered slacks, which looked real good because, as a matter of fact, the slacks taper just a little more than Rosie does. Well, she made me stay over in her brother who was away in the Marines' room and locked me in at night. It went on that way for a couple of days. Rosie looking grim all day, not even holding hands or playing footy in the diner over coffee. We spent the evenings in her living room while her father watched Meet the Press and asked Nixon and Kefauver questions that they never even answered. I complained to Rosie that we had all the disadvantages of being married a long time without the obvious advantages. But her father told me to keep quiet and stop interrupting Steve Allen. Well, finally, on the 11th of July, we were driving in the phone company truck, Rosie was driving, to make sure I didn't commit anything criminal like crossing the double white line or not stopping for a school bus.
Do you realize tomorrow is the 12th?
Yeah.
That's the day the other you called you up from, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I've kept you honest. If you turn into a hoodlum between now and tomorrow...
Rosie, look out, that car! Now, look what you did.
Is the other man hurt? He's getting out of the car.
Rosie, that hair. Rosie, that's the man who... Get down, he's shooting at us.
Why?
Well, he's the man I saw outside the bank. He's one of the bank robbers. Look out, he's coming this way.
He looks awful mad.
Why not? We smashed his getaway car. Rosie, get behind me. I'll protect you. The fella came up to us holding his gun and looking pretty upset. And he was just about to say something when Rosie reached over my shoulder and hit him on the head with her crescent wrench. I took a length of wire and my pliers, and I had his hand spliced behind his back before he came to. We threw him in the back of the truck and took him into the sheriff at Dunsville. He confessed right away and told where his buddies were hiding out. Rosie locked me up in her brother's room again that night, and then it all came clear to me. In the morning, Rosie came out on the truck with me again, and she was still trying to reform me. I let her come along, but inside I was grinning.
What are you sneering about, Sam?
I'm not sneering, I'm grinning. Rosie, do you realize there's a $5,000 reward for those robbers, and we get it?
Well, I'm still worried about that other you.
Oh. Well, we'll take care of that right now.
Sam, what are you doing?
Now, just a minute, honey. I gotta climb that pole.
Sam, what are you doing up there?
Well, I gotta make a call, honey. Hook up my little gadget. Now.
Hello, who's this?
Sam, this is you.
Huh? What's that?
This is you. You, Sam Yoder. Don't you recognize your own voice? This is you, Sam Yoder, calling from the 12th of July.
Look, Mac, I'm working and I'm 50 feet up.
Don't hang up. You see? It was me all the time. Here it was in the 12th of July, and I was talking to myself back in the 2nd of July, and it was the same conversation word for word.
Oh, Sam, then it was you all the time.
Uh-huh. Back in the 2nd of July, he's cussing me out just the way I did. And he'll fix this gadget up the way I just told him.
Then we still have our secrets.
Oh, sure, honey. I'll remember when I call me up tonight 10 days ago, I'm going to be very busy. And I won't want to waste time talking to myself a week and a half ago. Now, Rosie, what do you suppose I'll be doing tonight that would make me not want to waste time talking to myself 10 days ago? Rosie?
Oh, Sam, we'll have all tonight to ourselves. There's a big spectacular in compatible color with Esther Williams, and Pa will spend the whole night twisting the dials trying to get the color right. He'll be furious.
But you said it's black and white.
That's why he'll be furious.
Well, how do you like the nerve of me calling me up and interrupting me at a time like that? Well, it won't take long, honey. I haven't got too much to say to myself this time. Well, that's the way it went. Rosie and I got married. Like I say, I wouldn't believe this story if I was you. Of course, what with horse races and things like that, we're doing pretty well, but that could just be good luck. But folks around this part of the country don't want to bet with me. I am the only one in the country who won a bet that Don Larson would pitch a perfect no-hit, no-run game in the World Series. You see, I had a little advance information.
You have just heard X-1 presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Of All Possible Worlds by William Tenn, a story which demonstrates that changing the world is simple. The trick is to do it before you have a chance to undo it. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Sam, This Is You, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Murray Leinster and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Larry Haynes as Sam and Pat Hosley as Rosie. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
For eerie tales that set the scene for witches' flights this Halloween, hear Sleep No More tonight.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, Appointment in Tomorrow by Fritz Leiber.
The first angry rays of the sun, which surprisingly enough still rose in the east at 24-hour intervals, pierced the lacy tops of Atlantic combers and touched thousands of sleeping Americans with unconscious fear because of the unpleasant similarity to the ray from World War III's thermonuclear weapons. This was America approaching the end of the 20th century, America of the mask fad for women and the Neo-Cretan dress styles, America of your local radiation hospital, of the endless war and the loyalty detector. In his bedroom in the Thinkers Foundation, George Helmut slept.
Good calculus to the nucleus, adding a quantum equal to the resultant of G sub 1 prime. Repeating, the quantum...
His educational sandman purred learnedly in his ear, droning tensor calculus through the night, filling the hours that used to hold man's formless fears and floating anxieties with the rigid form and anchored shapes of mathematics. Precisely at 8, the sidereal alarm went off.
Yeah. Ooh, my head. Oh, shower. 96.8, commence.
Under the soothing spray of the body temperature robo-shower, Helmut took a deep breath and cast his mind to the limits of the world and his knowledge. It was a somewhat shadowy vision, but he noted with impartial approval, definitely less shadowy than yesterday morning.
Off. Dry blast, commence.
Employing a rapid mental scanning technique, he cleared his memory chains of false associations, including those acquired while asleep. He felt the snap of clearing non-thalamic reasoning returning as the brain surged into clear, sharp control.
Off. Clothing. Color key 705.
He stepped into his clothing, the severe tunic, tights, and sockasins of the modern businessman. He smiled. The next big move had come to him in his sleep, as many of his best decisions did, because he utilized the time-saving technique of somno thought, which could function at the same time as somno learning.
Attention, robo-locator. Category, rocket physicist. Classification, genius level. Time limit for search, 20 minutes. Commence. Take dictation. Dear fellow scientist, a project is contemplated that will have a crucial bearing on man's future in deep space. Ample non-military government funds are available. There was a time when professional men scoffed at the Thinkers Foundation. Then there was a time when the thinkers perforce neglected the professional men. Now both times are past. I would like to consult you this afternoon, 3 o'clock sharp, Thinkers Foundation, signed George Helmut. End of dictation.
The president is waiting to see Maisie, sir. He has the general staff with him.
March and peace to him. Tell him I'll be down in a few minutes.
Huge as a primitive nuclear reactor, Maisie, the great electronic brain, loomed over the knot of hushed-voiced men. Its front was an orderly expanse of controls, indicators, telltales, and terminals, the upper ones reached by a chair on a boom. This was the machine with 1,000,000 times as many synapses as the human brain, the machine that remembered by cutting delicate little notches on the rims of molecules. This was the machine that timid cyberneticists and stuffy professional scientists had said could not be built. Yet this was the machine that the thinkers, with characteristic Yankee push, had built and named, with characteristic irreverence, Maisie.
Have you the question for the day, Mr. President?
Here, Mr. Helmut.
I see.
The question on the Pakistan crisis is a little touchy. I don't know.
If there is enough data to answer it, Maisie will do so.
Well, of course, I didn't mean to. Of
If
course.
you will excuse me, gentlemen, I will code the questions for Maisie. Oh, Section 5, Question 4. Whom would that come from?
Number 4. Physics. Opperly and his research team.
I see. Thank you, Mr. President. While I'm coding the tape, there will be time to watch the takeoff of the Mars rocket.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, I've often wanted to go to New Mexico. As a matter of fact, I've always wanted to go right through to Mars.
Mr. President.
My chief of staff thinks the project should be under the Army instead of the Thinkers Foundation.
Mr. President, this is the way Maisie designed the project.
Oh, I know. That's what I told him. Still, I wish you people could bring back a few of those wise little devils from Mars. It would be a good thing for the party, the country.
It's quite unthinkable. The telepathic abilities of the Martians make them extremely sensitive. The conflicts of ordinary Earth minds would impinge on them psychotically. Only the thinkers can contact them because of the clear training and errorless memory chains. Perhaps someday, in the future... there goes the rocket.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I am ready to submit the question tapes to Maisie. Stand back, gentlemen.
Oh, well, sorry.
And now... All right, gentlemen. Maisie is thinking.
The question tape, like a New Year's streamer tossed out of a high window into the night, sped on its dark way along spinning rollers. Curling with an intricate aimlessness, it tantalized the silver fingers of 1,000 relays, saucily evaded the glances of 10,000 electric eyes, impishly darted down a narrow black alleyway of memory banks, and, reaching the center of the cube, suddenly emerged into a small room where a sweating fat man in shorts sat drinking beer.
Here it comes. Get off my lap, honey. I've got work to do.
Can it wait?
I said get.
Oh, you didn't have to do that.
When Maisie thinks, she thinks. Open up another beer.
Look, I'm not a robo-barmaid.
Honey, do what you're told, or I'll ship you out where they'll work some of the upholstery off that frame, slopping radioactive mud.
You don't have to get nasty, Jan. Here's your beer.
That's better.
It makes you fat.
I like to be fat. It makes our relationship more poignant. Pass me the questions and get over to your keyboard.
You're a greasy pig.
But such an attractive pig. Start taping. Why, that dirty...
What's the matter?
One of the questions. Does Maisie stand for male Zell?
For what?
Male Zell.
Does it?
Look, you just keep sitting on your brains and let me do the thinking. Tape. Maisie does not stand for male Zell. Maisie stands for amazing, humorously given the form of a girl's name.
Who is Melzell?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Huh?
It's a story. Melzell's chess player. About an automaton that was supposed to play chess. Poe proved it had a man inside it.
Oh, and they want to know if Maisie... They're wrong. Maisie doesn't have a man inside it. Just a lump of conceited lard. You could hit me with that. Look at my dress.
Get me another glass of beer. I must have come from the physics section of the Research Institute. Opperly and that ape Farquhar. We'll look into that. All right, start taping. Question 1. The midterm election vidcast should be spaced as follows.
Morton Opperly's living room was quite behind the times. Instead of reading tapes, there were books. And instead of a 4x6 TV screen, there was a Picasso, still faintly radioactive from being smuggled out of the Manhattan crater. Two physicists faced each other across the table. Old Mr. Opperly, and young Mr. Farquhar.
About that male Zell question, Willard. Why do you keep teasing the zoo animals?
Because the thinkers are charlatans who must be exposed. We know their Maisie is no more than a tea leaf reading fake. We've traced their Mars rockets, and we know they go into orbit 500 miles above Earth and stay there until it's time to come down with the latest miraculous Martian mental science.
But we've already exposed the thinkers very thoroughly. You know the good it did. Willard, the age we live in wants magicians. A scientist tells people the truth. When times are good, when the truth offers no threat, people don't mind. But when times are very, very bad, well, a magician tells people what they wish were true. That perpetual motion works, that colored lights can cure cancer, that a psychosis is no worse than a bad cold, and that they live forever. In good times, magicians are laughed at. They're the luxury of a spoiled, wealthy few. But in bad times, people sell their souls for magic cures and buy perpetual motion machines to power their war rockets.
Are we supposed to beg off from a job because it's difficult and dangerous?
In my day, Willard, I was one of the frightened men. Later, I was one of the angry men. And then one of the minds of despair. And now I'm convinced that all of my reactions were futile.
Exactly. You reacted. You didn't act. If you men who discovered atomic energy had only formed a secret league, if you'd only had the guts and foresight to use your tremendous bargaining power to...
Willard, we scientists weren't the stuff of which cloak and dagger men are made. Can you imagine Oppenheimer wearing a mask or old Einstein sneaking into the White House with a bomb in his briefcase? That's not the way power is seized. New ideas aren't useful to men bargaining for power. Only established facts or lies are.
What do you want to do? Surrender the world to charlatans without a struggle? The thinkers are vulnerable. Their power is based on a series of lies.
All power is. The greater the lie, the greater the power.
What's it based on? A few lucky guesses, some faith healing, some science hocus pocus.
The power of the thinkers isn't based on what they've got, but on what the world hasn't got. Peace, honor, a good conscience.
They've sent for me.
Who? Jan Tregerin?
No. George Helmut. I got the radiogram an hour ago. They know they'll have to produce a real nuclear rocket pretty soon, and they'll need our help.
I'm afraid, Willard.
You think it might be a trap? After the Malzell question, you think they might want to shut me up?
I'm not afraid for your life. I'm worried about other things they might do to you.
They'd better be worried about the things I'm going to do to them.
Martian peace to you, Willard Farquhar. You have entered the Thinkers' Foundation. Please remain on the slideway.
I want to see George Helmut.
May we take your hat and coat?
What the...
Do not be alarmed. Invisible radiations are slaughtering all the germs in your body, while more delicate emanations are producing a benign rearrangement of your emotions.
Claptrap. I can recognize a 14-cycle sonic note when I hear one. Where's Helmut?
This way, please.
Helmut, cut out all this swami stuff. Where are you?
I'm afraid Mr. Helmut won't be able to meet you, Mr. Farquhar. I'm Jan Tregerin. Perhaps you can have your conversation with me.
George Helmut waited in the conference room with 24 empty chairs. He had prepared by 2 hours' rest with the Somno teacher on full volume for this conference, having strengthened his mind by hard years of Somno learning, memory straightening, and sensory training. He had assured himself of the executive power to control the technicians and direct their specialized abilities. Together, they would have built the true Mars rocket. But, unfortunately, no one came.
Where are they? Report.
No word from the door, Master.
They can't all be late. Did you check?
The calls have been put through.
What response?
Dr. Burnside reports he received the second message just in time.
What second message?
The message calling off the meeting.
Did he read the text of the second message back?
Shall I play it back?
Never mind. How was it signed? The signature?
Signature, Mr. Jan Tregeron.
George Helmut dejectedly examined his organizational charts, and then tapping his stylo on the pad, he extended his mental aura, cleared his memory chains of error, accelerated his cerebral processes by the Haber-Gerson process he'd practiced for so many years. Slowly, he could feel the tight, heart-squeezing disappointment ebb. He was in control again. Tregeron, he was the one to blame. Tregeron, who was so used to working by deception that he must be shown the light.
Well, Willard, how was your adventure among the magicians?
Well, they didn't hurt me.
You're sure? And are you as determined as ever to smash and expose the thinkers?
Of course. Only from now on I won't embarrass you by asking any Maelzel questions. After this, I shall bore from within.
Now, where have I heard that phrase before? Do I understand that you are becoming a thinker, Willard?
Certainly. That's the only way to smash them. Out-trick all their trickeries. Organize a fifth column. Then strike.
The end justifying the means, of course.
Of course.
I wonder if becoming a thinker doesn't simply mean that you've decided to use lies and tricks as your chief method. Well, you're working with Helmut?
Not Helmut. Tregeron. I'm afraid that Helmut's career as a thinker is going to have quite a setback.
Ah, well. Goodbye, Willard.
Tregeron, I want to talk to you.
Shall I leave?
No, please stay.
Jan?
Stay. You ought to enjoy this. George has that errorless memory channel.
Tregeron, you know why I'm here.
I don't know. I've been sadly remiss in my precognition and clairvoyance exercise. I've been too busy with other things, other people, other exercises. But I don't need Major to guess.
You just went ahead and canceled the conference without consulting me.
You called it without consulting me. Shouldn't do that sort of a thing, George.
I was absolutely sure of my ground, perfectly prepared. I visualized it. The rocket boosting up on chemical power, then setting sail.
Sail? Sail? A nuclear reactor rocket. Oh, George, you're fabulous.
Yes, sail. Thin streams of nuclear reflecting material and the rocket feeding meson streams behind it. I conceived it all, complete, except for technical details.
George, you are a thinker. A real thinker.
I know.
Now, look here, George. Every man should stick to his trade. Technology isn't ours.
You know as well as I do that we're going to have a nuclear spaceship and actually go to Mars someday.
Are we?
Yes. Just as we're going to have to build an actual Maisie. I helped you organize the thinkers. At least I was your first partner. Our basic idea was that the time had come to apply science to the life of man on a large scale. The only thing holding the world back from this was the ignorance and superstition of the average man and the stubbornness and lack of enterprise of the academic scientists. Their worship of facts, even when the facts were clearly dangerous.
Splendid. Splendid. Caddy, get me another beer.
I'm filing my nails. All right, all right.
Everybody wanted the new world. The trips to Mars, the knowledge of the human brain. All they lacked was the nerve to take the first big step. And that was what we supplied.
Here's your beer.
There was no time for slow and careful plodding. We couldn't afford to check and double-check. We couldn't wait for the grudging approval of the professionals. We had to use fake stunts, tricks, anything to get over the big point. Once that was done, mankind was headed down the new road. It was easy to just heal the breach with the professionals and to make good in actuality what had been made good in pretense.
Very good. The beer.
We built Maisie. We built the Mars rocket. We discovered the wisdom of the Martians. We sold the people and the science the professionals had been too high-toned to advertise or bring into the marketplace. But now that we'd succeeded, it's time to let accomplishment catch up with imagination, to implement fantasy with fact. You suppose I would have gone in with you if I hadn't known that someday we'd actually make what we claimed we had already made?
Oh, is that it?
John, the day's come. And I'm the man. I've prepared myself.
Caddy, clear the decks.
All right. I know. You just want room to point that fat finger.
I want her to stay.
All right. George, look, every revolutionary wants to see the big change take place in his lifetime. But time for the second step. George, the average man's exactly where he was 10 years ago when we took over. Except he's got a new god. More than ever, he thinks of Mars as a Hollywood paradise with wise men and yummy princesses, like Caddy here.
You think I'm yummy, really?
Shut up. Maisie is Mama, magnified 1,000,000 times. The professional scientists, they're more jealous and stuffy than ever. All they like to do is turn the clock back to a genteel dream world of square caps and quadrangles.
Bravo!
I said shut up. George, maybe in 10,000 years we'll be ready for the second big step. Meanwhile, the clever will rule the stupid. The realists will rule the dreamers. George, did you actually think you could have bossed those professionals? Nuclear scientists? Rocket physicists? Oh, now listen to me, boy. They'd have torn you to pieces in 20 minutes, and glad of the chance. George, you baffle me. You know that Maisie and the Mars trips and all that are fakes, yet you believe in your somno-learning and consciousness expansion and optimism pumping like a corn-fed yokel.
There is a place for the man who has the courage to dream.
Sure. In a straitjacket. Oh, George, you remind me of those men who used to put out those lurid little magazines with Caddy's grandmother on the cover in outer space in a stripped-down bathing suit.
My grandmother never...
I said shut up! That's what it is. Frustrated little men playing science god to generations of pimply high school chemistry students and gas station attendants, conning them into thinking they're in the know. Sprinkling a few formulas to the garbage and playing Atom Smasher, and then being very solemn about the role of imagination in science. George, the trouble with you is they forgot to take your zap gun and space cadet decoder pin away from you when you turned 13.
That's your honest opinion?
It's more than that. George, get a hold of yourself and quit taking fantasy in the veins. That's an order.
Jan, the strange part of it is that I know as well as you do that Maisie and the Mars trips are fakes, but some things aren't. The human mind, Jan, is a tool that hasn't been perfected yet. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamed of in your philosophy, Horatio.
Who's Horatio?
I said shut up! This is the last full cackle, George. You've been fooling around with ESP, huh? Telepathy? Maybe a little hypnotism?
Maybe.
All right. Guess what I've got in my drawer? Extend your consciousness. Telepath it. Visualize it. Never mind. I'll slave you the mental effort. It's a pistol, see? Now, let me tell you something. I got a couple of boys waiting outside. They'll take you by jet to New Mexico. George, congratulations. You're leaving for Mars tomorrow.
Mars?
Yes. I've decided Mars to be the best place for you. We'll arrange it so that your trip is, say, 2 years long. Perhaps in that time, orbiting up there, you'll learn a little Martian wisdom. For example, the big liar must never fall for his own lie. Meanwhile, I got a replacement for you. His name is Willard Farquhar.
But I sent for him to...
Yes. You see, I, too, believe in cooperation with the scientists. But by subversion. I'll offer them the hand of friendship with a big, fat bribe in it. You know what the bribe is? The power to destroy me. That's what I'm offering. Join us. Learn our secrets. Bore from within. Bide your time before you strike. But while he's biding, I'll have him. And when he's ready to strike, you'll find it's not quite the time. Wait a little bit. Enjoy the power. Play with fat old Jan Tragerin like a cat. And by then I'll have him.
You can't replace me, Jan.
Oh, you were a good man, George, when we needed catchy slogans, ray guns, plastic helmets, and fancy sweaters.
I warned you, Jan. Don't underestimate the mind. The human brain. Even Caddy here is a fascinating instrument. For example, I had a little talk with Caddy last week.
Very boring.
Ah, but useful. But when we were finished, her mind had something it didn't have before.
You always were educational, George.
Caddy, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Now, put your hand on his arm. Now, take his gun.
Caddy, are you crazy?
I've got his gun. What now?
You see, Jan, there is a place for the dreamer, the man who believes, who can use his mind. I'm going to get rid of you, Jan, because the man who dares to dream will rule. Caddy, look at me. Look at me. Point the gun at him. Look at me.
I can't anymore. It's too ridiculous. Jan, take your silly gun back. It's too heavy.
What? Caddy, I command you, look at me. Look at me.
The power of the mind. Hey, boys, come in and get him.
I don't understand. Caddy, look at me.
Oh, all right, I'll look at you. Poor Superman.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features You Go by E.C. Tubb, which proves that for pure, chilling horror, nothing can beat cold, hard facts. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Appointment in Tomorrow, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Fritz Leiber and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Ted Osborne, Dean Almquist, Pat Hosley, Bob Hastings, Arthur Hughes, and Charles Penman. Your narrator was Floyd Mack. This is Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
The magic island of Euclidia in the South Pacific Ocean is a strange place, and strange things are going on near the island. When Jerry and Joan went out in the Euclidean submarine to capture Johnson's rescue boat, they expected thrills and danger, but were certainly not prepared for what has actually happened to them. The submarine came to the surface by standing on end in the water, and Johnson's boat came along right on schedule. But from there, the thing went all wrong. First, Johnson's boat did not stop, but went tearing along toward the location of the island. And next, Captain Bradford in the Euclidean radio room cannot get a message from Johnson. We look into the submarine as it races along after Johnson's boat.
Gee whiz, Joan, but my arm hurts from that magnetism holding him in one position so long.
My arms hurt also, Jerry, but we must not complain. Things could be so much worse.
I'll say they could. Johnson's boat could have been sunk back there. Then we'd have had something real to worry about.
Yes, and we know Mother and the captain are all right, for we heard their voices in the control chamber. And the captain's message to Johnson showed that...
Funny thing about that, though, why didn't Johnson answer?
I think his radio must have... Oh, Jerry, look, my arms.
Huh? Oh, boy, we can move again.
You may move enough to come up forward to the control section at once, both of you.
Better let me hang on to your arm, Joan. It's sort of hard to walk on this narrow steel thing after sitting there so stiff all this time.
I like to have you hold my arm, Jerry.
Gee, do you?
Yes, then I can help you if you start to fall down.
Oh, what are you talking about?
You will sit over there, Cleostra, and you here, Hall. We will attempt to reach Johnson with a message.
Well, to tell you the truth, Commander, I can't figure what Johnson's up to when he refused to answer that message of the captain's.
It is a very peculiar situation. Perhaps Johnson was afraid of a trap when Captain Bradford said he was speaking from the Euclidean voice transmission chamber. But did not Johnson start to send a message and then stop?
Yeah. We heard his call letters, heard them repeated. Then the set went dead. Maybe it was your set here, Commander.
It could not be the transmission apparatus here. Mistakes are never made by Euclideans. This equipment is perfect.
Maybe Johnson figured he'd better, lay low until he was sure what he was getting into.
Naturally, Jerry, you have only stated the obvious. Cleostra is correct. Your answer betrays no particular intelligence on your part. And if that is all you have to offer, we will proceed.
Proceed with what?
Our attempts to contact Johnson and warn him.
Warn him of what? He's heading right for the island, and that's where you want him to get, isn't it?
Precisely, but the island is submerged. He might miss it.
Golly whiskers, that's right.
And if the island should be rising out of the water just as Mr. Johnson's boat passed over it, his boat would be wrecked on the top of the island.
Precisely.
I wish you wouldn't say that precisely thing all the time. Sounds like G47.
Is there anything about G47 you find objectionable?
Oh, no. He's swell. Yeah, I like him fine. Only he kind of scares me with those surprises he's always springing. It's like finding a snowbank in the desert.
Oh, Jerry, please be careful. Remember that the commander may do as she pleases.
Okay, Joan. All right, Commander. Well, what do you want me to do?
Call Johnson. Advise him of the true state of affairs here and on the island. Ask him why he ran by us, and warn him to lay to before he reaches the position of the island.
Then what?
The generators will be kept active until this is settled. The apparatus is ready. There is the switch. You may operate it. Remember, close it before addressing any communication to me. Proceed.
Careful, Jerry.
I know. J12C. Calling J12C. Jerry Hall on Euclidean submarine to J12C. Hello, J12. Hello, J12. Jerry Hall for Captain Bradford. Calling Johnson on J12C. Hello, J12. Hello, J12. Oh, well, that doesn't do much good, does it?
You will wait a few seconds for possible reply, then repeat.
Look, can I ask you a question, Commander?
You may ask a question.
I have told you about your speech, Jerry. You must learn.
Oh, well, golly whiskers. Can or may or whatever you want. What I want to know is if it's all right for me to ask you a question.
It is, if the question is proper.
Oh, it's a slick question.
Jerry, the commander will not understand slick.
Okay. It's a clever and vital inquiry as to the nature of a certain phenomena existing in the present situation. How am I doing, babe?
The major portion of your outburst was acceptable. To what do you refer?
Well, Magic Island, Euclidia. It's a secret from the rest of the world, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Then how about all this stuff I'm putting out into the air over this radio now? Calling Johnson and signing this boat and telling him all about the island. Well, and all that.
These waves do not reach beyond the island and are strictly directional.
You mean those waves go out only in a straight line to the island and then stop there?
Precisely.
But don't the signals get weak at the end of that distance?
No, Jerry. When one of your motor cars runs just so far on one charge of gasoline, does it run slower because the gasoline is nearly gone?
Well, of course not. It just runs till the gas is gone, then stops suddenly, all at once.
So it is with the Euclidean voice transmission beam.
An excellent explanation, Cleostra. You have done well for so young a Euclidean student. Your question is answered now in terms which your limited mentality may grasp, I trust.
Yep, just skip me. Act like I'm not here.
But you are here, Jerry.
Oh, thanks for noticing it. I was kind of doubtful there for a minute.
Enough of this. Send another message to Johnson, Hall.
Okay. What'll I tell him?
Get him first. Silence, Cleostra. Transmit, Hall.
J12C. Calling J12C. Jerry Hall at J12C. Hello, Johnson. Hello, J12C. Jerry Hall at Johnson. J12C. Calling J12C. Calling J12C. Hello, Johnson. Hello, J12C. Oh, it's no use.
It would seem to be hopeless. I will take over the communication. Silence, both of you. S1 to G47. Commander S1 to G47. S1 reporting.
Ready, G47. Report, S1.
Unable to raise Johnson boat. Your answer checks the proper operation of my beam. We are running a true southerly course to the island. Johnson's boat on surface 8 knots in advance this boat. Cannot raise signal from him. Advise proceed.
What is Johnson's speed?
Stand by. SE1.
Yes, Commander.
Check speed of boat on surface 8 knots advance of this position.
Speed reading is discharge vibrations constant at 35 knots.
Excellent. That is all.
Very good, Commander.
S1 to G47. Speed of surface boat constant at 35 knots.
Correct, Commander. You will proceed on your course exactly.
Captain Bradford on Euclidia. J12C to Bradford.
Proceed, J12C.
We'll talk only to Bradford.
Very well. Captain Bradford will take over.
Hello, J12C. Go ahead, Johnson. Bradford to J12. Go ahead, J12C.
My relief operator has logged a lot of messages here that sound mad. Stories about the island of Euclidia and a transmission room on the island from which your messages have been coming. What's it all about?
Everything just as messages said. Jerry and Joan aboard sub which tried to board you. Why didn't you stop for it?
Did not see it. We were all down in the hold trying to stop leak in the oil tanks. Leaking badly. Think we'll run out of fuel before we reach position of island. Making 35 knots now. 55 miles from island. Fuel supply will not last more than 25 miles at present rate of loss. Also danger from fire. Have you any instructions?
Take all possible precautions against fire. Run as far as fuel will allow. Then lay to and wait for aid. Advise exact position when you stop. Acknowledge.
Run till fuel exhausted, then lay to for aid. Advise exact position then. Is that all?
How about it, G47?
That is all.
Okay, Johnson, that is all.
Commander S1.
Yes, G47.
Proceed at your present speed. Orders later. That is all.
Present speed. Orders later. That is all.
Boy, are we going places and hearing things.
It is all very wonderful, is it not, Jerry?
I think you are learning a great many things of the efficiency and accuracy of the Euclideans. Are you not, Hall?
Oh, sure. You got a lot of swell scientific wrinkles, all right. But nobody on Euclidean knows anything about being a human being or having any fun.
You mean pleasure, relaxation? Is that what you call fun?
Sure. Have a good time. All this scientific work all the time's no good. Not good for you either.
We have ample recreation on Euclidia.
I have told Jerry about our general rest periods, when we may do foolish mathematical and electrochemical problems to suit our pleasure.
Yeah, I heard all about that idea of a good time, but I don't want any of it.
What is your idea of relaxation?
Let me ask you one first. Were you born on Euclidia?
I was. I was the first child born on the island, and I am the chosen commander of the submarine commanders.
Isn't that wonderful, Jerry, to command this boat?
Swell. But what do you know about parties, dances, going to picture shows, skating, ball games, and... Well, what do you know about any of that?
It all sounds very useless. We will not tolerate those things after Euclidia takes over the world.
But there is one thing very nice that I have seen, Commander.
What is that?
My mother's clothes. Oh, they're lovely.
Are they of Euclidean cloth?
You bet they're not.
Then they will not keep out light and sound rays. Anyone can see what you are doing and hear all you say.
Yeah, but in our world, people don't go around snooping into other people's business.
You mean you say and do as you please? There is no one to tell you how to spend your time, and your clothes are better than ours?
Oh, yes, Commander. Much nicer. I am sure my mother would let you look at some of her clothes if you would visit the yacht when we get back to the island.
I will. Silence. Such talk is stupid. You two remain here. I have business with the engineer in the bow.
Hey, Joan, I got an idea.
Yes, Jerry?
That commander, I've got her wondering about this Euclidia thing.
I do not understand, Jerry.
Well, Captain Bradford said that he thought we'd find a lot of these Euclideans were just prisoners and would be on our side if they saw a real chance to get to our world and be free from all this.
But, Jerry, the commander is a person of power and position on Euclidia. When Euclidia takes over the world, she will command all the fleets of the world.
Maybe. But she's a girl, a 22-year-old girl. And when you started to talk about your mother's dress being so fine and all, she pretty near forgot to act like a machine.
I'm afraid you are mistaken, Jerry. You will be disappointed if you look to the commander for any help.
Look, Joan, the only reason we can't plan to get away from all this is because the Euclideans know everything we say and do. That's right?
Yes, Jerry, and they always will.
No, they won't. When that commander left here just now, she switched off these microphones and amplifiers in this boat. And she did that so we could have a chance to talk. Get it, Joan? We can talk. Nobody can hear us. And the commander fixed it that way on...
The Euclidean submarine bearing Jerry and Joan is plowing steadily southward toward Euclidia, the magic island of the South Seas. The submarine set out to capture Johnson's boat, but Johnson ran past them and is continuing on toward the island. His last radio message telling of an accident to his boat. Oil tanks leaking. May not have enough fuel to make port. With all this in mind, the submarine is following Johnson closely, so they may pick him up and tow him to port. Mrs. Gregory and Captain Tex Bradford have watched and heard all this from the control room in the submerged island, but they can see and hear nothing of the submarine now, as the commander has shut off the power, and Jerry is telling Joan he thinks they've found a friend.
I am afraid you are mistaken, Jerry.
These Euclideans are too happy with their power and with their dream of conquering the world.
But I tell you, I know what I'm talking about. Now listen, Joan, when that woman commander left us here in the central control section and went up forward there to talk to that engineer, she cut off all the gadgets that pick up our voices and carry them all over the sub, didn't she?
Yes, Jerry, but that was only done to conserve the power. If this submarine will have to tow a crippled boat to the island, all the power will be needed to operate the towing magnet.
That's all okay, and it gave her a swell excuse. But I'm telling you, she wanted us to have a chance to plan something about what we're to do when we get to Johnson's boat.
Even if that were true, Jerry, there is nothing we could do of any value. We will tow Mr. Johnson to Euclidia. His boat will be captured with all on board, and Captain Bradford's formula will fall into G47's hands.
Oh, gee, I forgot the formula for a minute. I guess there's nothing we could do about that, is there?
You said Mr. Johnson had some of those clever little homing pigeons on his boat. Could he not send a message by one of them? Send the formula on to someone else?
No chance. The pigeons on this boat are trained to go to your mother's boat, and they'd only end up on the island again with the formula. Johnson might just as well take the formula in himself and hand it over to G47.
Let me warn you of one thing, Jerry. Do not try to do more than you have permission to do. You will find the commander and the engineer very swift in their punishment.
Gosh, that engineer is big enough and ugly enough to get a job scaring babies anytime. But I got an idea. The skipper's going to give us a break.
I am afraid, Jerry, that idea will get you into serious trouble.
I'll take a chance on it when the time comes. But right now, I won't act like I noticed anything funny about the way she acted.
Be quiet now. She is returning.
She looks like she means business, too.
I think you were wrong, Jerry. I see that you at least had intelligence enough to obey instructions and remain as you were. I have given the engineer orders to prepare the stern electromagnet for towing Johnson's boat when his fuel is exhausted.
May I ask you something, Commander?
You may, if the question is within reason.
You use explosive gas for power on this sub, don't you?
Correct. Those lockers are full of tubes of the solidified gas, which, when placed in the discharge tubes and vaporized, explode continuously with tremendous and noiseless power.
Thanks. That's swell. But what bothers me is how you get power to run that big generator, and whether the power is going to come from to run magnets heavy enough to tow a big boat.
The generators are run by water pressure. There are minute tubes throughout the outer shell of this boat, parallel to the axis. The natural rush of water through these tubes is utilized by turbines in the bow and stern. They drive the generators. The storage batteries alone would handle the generators for an hour. Is that not so, Commander? Precisely.
But, gee, don't you lose a lot of speed by having those tubes pick up all that water?
The loss is 15%, negligible compared to the amount of current generated.
Boy, oh boy, this is really a submarine.
You will see the magnets working very shortly.
Are we close to Johnson's boat?
It is difficult to get the exact range now. His motors have stopped. Then he has run out of fuel. We may come up to him very soon, then.
Will you take this sub up onto the surface to tow him?
This is a submarine. It has never been on the surface, except as you saw it standing perpendicularly to act as a conning tower.
But how can you hook the magnets on his boat?
He has been instructed by G47 to drop an anchor over his bow. We will pick up the anchor with our stern magnets and remain in at least 2 fathoms of water. What will our speed be, Commander, towing that heavy boat? There is no emergent need of speed. We will not attempt more than 15 knots.
Golly whiskers. I think that's pretty fast for a submarine to tow a 100-foot cruiser with a magnet on its anchor.
It will not be difficult.
There is a discoloration in the water, Commander.
Excellent, SE-1. We will observe it closely. Maintain speed and course.
Maintain speed and course. Due south. 25 knots.
Now we will check on this discoloration in the water.
Hey, wait a minute. You're not going to open a hole in the wall of this thing, are you?
Jerry, be quiet. Certainly I am, but have no fear. You will not drown. If your powers of observation were worthy, you would see that I am opening a small slide in the inner shell. So. Then a mere slit in the outer shell. And there we have a small stream of water passing through that channel and continuing harmlessly out of the stern turbine exhaust.
Gee whiz.
Is it not wonderful, Jerry?
It sure is.
Yes. So SE-1 was right. There is a distinct discoloration in the water. Oil. Fuel oil for diesel motors. We are following exactly in the wake of Johnson's leaking fuel tank. There. The volume of oil is increasing. Good. We are near the boat.
That's sure keen. You left me behind on one thing.
Did you not understand how the water passed through there without entering the compartment, Jerry?
Oh, sure, I understood that. But where did that oil come from?
Are you being deliberately stupid? You have heard me say it came from the fuel tanks on the boat we are following.
Oh, I don't mean that. I mean that the top of this sub is 2 fathoms below the surface of the water. Well, how did the oil get down 12 feet in the water? Where I come from, oil floats until it scatters. This is a steady stream.
The question surprises me with its intelligence. Had you been more observant, you would have noticed SE1 has raised a slender feeler tube in the bow. This reaches the surface and turns a jet of surface water through the channel I just opened. Do you have anything as wonderful as that in your world, Jerry?
If we do, I can't think of it right now.
Silence. I must speak to G47.
Gee, Joan, I was...
Silence, I said. That means absolute silence. S1 reporting to G47. S1 to G47.
You may proceed.
Boat we are pursuing has stopped. Motors silent. Oil drift on surface here indicates we are nearing boat. Prepared to tow it to Euclidia. Special order?
None. Proceed. That is all. G47.
Gee, we're going to pick up Johnson's boat now.
Naturally. You will find the method of attaching the magnetic stern fin to the anchor of the captive boat highly illuminative, Jerry.
You mean I'll get a kick out of it?
There will be no kicking here. The language of the stable is out of place in this well-ordered machine. He is just trying to have some fun with me, Commander. Jerry acts as if he didn't understand big words. It seems to be no effort for him to misunderstand anything.
Oh, I guess you're right, Skipper. I'm sorry, Commander.
SE1, prepare to tow Johnson boat.
Prepare to tow Johnson boat. Has boat been advised to have bow anchor up?
That has been done. You will maneuver position. I will personally attend to securing anchor with stern magnetic fin. Maintain speed and course until boat sighted.
Very good, Commander.
You two may witness this operation if you care to accompany me to the stern section.
Oh, golly whiskers. That's swell, thanks.
Hold. What is the meaning of this?
What?
Have you no manners? If you are not cognizant of the accepted tactics in the presence of a superior, you might at least observe the common decencies.
Hey, well, what have I done now?
You started to precede the commander, Jerry. Oh, Jerry, I am so disappointed in you.
I'm sorry, Joan. Golly, I was so excited I forgot to... Well, I'm sorry, Commander.
It may be overlooked this time, as the damage is purely rhetorical. But let that be a lesson to you, Hall. There is a place for everyone in the Euclidean scheme of things. Your place is at all times secondary to that of the commander.
Right.
You may follow me to the stern.
Boy, can she be tough.
I told you, Jerry. You made a mistake about her.
I guess I did.
You will sit there, Hall. Remember that the magnetic paint on your hands and shoes is still active.
Okay, I won't get funny.
You there, Cleostro? Thank you, Commander. You will remain silent. You may see all that is of interest through the transparent shell.
Boat dirty effect. Side draft. We will clear it.
Excellent. Retard speed to stop stern fin directly below bow anchor of that boat.
Retarded. Losing speed. 20 knots. 15 knots. 10.
Full reverse tubes.
Full reverse tubes. 5 knots. Stationary, Commander.
Very well. Hold it so with stabilizers. I will project the stern magnetic fin. What is this, SE1?
Yes, Commander.
You have contributed an atrocious piece of navigation. You have driven about 3 fathoms beyond the anchor from that boat.
Sorry, Commander. Reversing at once. Yeah, 3 fathoms.
That is satisfactory.
Gee whiz. The poor guy misses an anchor chain 18 feet with the stern of the boat 80 feet from him, and he gets the dickens for it.
That was a serious error, Jerry.
Not in my country it wouldn't be.
Silence. Stabilize as you are, SE1.
Stationary, Commander.
Very well. Observe closely, Hall. This lever. Move it to this position, so. The fin is extended. It just touches the anchor.
Boy, that's slick figuring. And the engineer moved mighty fast, too, when he gave you those other 18 feet on the reverse.
Things must move swiftly to have a value here, Jerry. Precisely. Ready to absorb the contact shock?
Ready.
Very well. What is the weight of that boat, Hall?
Gee, I don't know.
I should have known you wouldn't know anything of value. I have never heard the tonnage referred to. Then I must estimate it. The generator's full, so. 3 circuits of magnets will handle the load easily. You may feel a slight shock as the magnets in the fin engage the anchor. So.
Gee whiz. Did you see that thing grab that anchor, Joan?
Yes, Jerry. I have seen it before. Silence. Ready, SE-1.
Ready, Commander.
Full speed ahead to break inertia. Then retract to 10 knots for cruising.
Right.
Very good, SE-1. Set your regulator for 10 knots. I will attend the current supply. Same course. Proceed.
Very good, Commander.
Boy, we're really pulling that big boat 10 knots an hour now?
I hardly think yet, Jerry. It should take about 30 seconds to attain speed.
Can I use the radio now? We can talk to Johnson easy when we're this close together.
You are entirely too close to Johnson. I will take no chances with you, Hall. Remain exactly as you are.
Major trouble in dealing with an alien is that we're accustomed to certain little signs, symbols, facial expressions, tones of voice that have meaning when a human being is communicating with a human being. But we have no system of signs and no code of communication with the alien. How could we tell what the alien was thinking? You've heard a lot about the subliminal advertising recently. There's been quite a bit of discussion about subliminal messages. You know, we use subliminal messages all the time, but we don't quite recognize them. How do you know when someone's angry? You look at him, or how do you know when someone's hurt? He doesn't say so, but there's some clue you get. Suppose you were trying to communicate with someone who couldn't speak, but did all their communicating by the subliminal signs. You'd never be able to say just how you knew what the feeling was.
Kathy, what? Get a couple of root beers out of the icebox and bring them out for me and Rob, will you?
This has got to be washed, Dad.
You've got nobody in there. Nobody coming. Get yourself a root beer and come out and join us. Starting to cool off out here now. Just think a girl would like to come and sit with a good-looking fellow like Rob here. Oh, come on out, Kathy. It's a real bright night outside here. You ought to see it.
When isn't it on the desert?
What, Kathy?
I'm coming. I'm through now. Here, let's open it yourself.
Got my opener right here in my watch chain. Give him here. You got one for yourself, Kathy?
Didn't want one. Move over.
Lots of shooting stars out tonight. And here we sit, looking at them. I tell you, when I was your age, Rob, and if I'd have seen myself as I am now, sitting on the front steps of a little cafe and gas pump, 10 miles from nothing but a wide spot in the road, middle of the desert.
Oh, Two Springs, not just a wide spot, 1,500-something people.
That's counting all the ranches 40 miles in every direction. And one town clerk and one town constable.
Two, Jimmy Herbert and me. And it's marshal, not constable.
You aren't but half a constable, Rob. A part-time traffic cop nights. And why aren't you back guarding the town if it's so valuable? Instead of sitting here with me.
That's all right. I got to head back in a bit and check in at 11.
Look, there's a bright one.
What? Bright what?
That shooting star over there. See it? You'd think they was wonders of nature never seen before. Regular 4th of July light-up. I'd rather look at that many silver dollars any day. And if I'd had a decent break, I'd be looking at them, too. You kids get your wishes in before it fell? What'd you wish for, Rob? Don't need to ask what Kathy wished for. Kathy?
No, Dad.
Well, I didn't say nothing bad. Don't every woman wish for good looks?
Dad.
Now, you knew I was kidding you. I wouldn't say...
Look at that one. It's coming right at us.
Where? What? Hey, look out!
He went down over there.
Get that car of yours. Plain nothing. Them meteors are worth money.
Wait for me.
Somebody's got to mind the gas pumps. You stay put.
What was it? What was it?
Let me. I'll carry it. Here. Into the house. In back.
Hey, it's one of those big rubber beach balls.
I'll put it on the sofa here. Good thing nobody's stopping for gas or a sandwich right now. Easy. There. Beach ball, did you say, girl? Look again.
That hole there. Like a mouse. It looks like it's breathing.
You're darn right it's breathing. We found it at the bottom of a little drop on the wash. Out there by a water boiler sort of thing. Acts like it's knocked out.
It's moving.
Grab it. Don't let it run away. Now go.
It talked. It said something.
I knew it. I really got something. Something at last. I got to get back to town and report this. Hold it. You crazy boy. You out of your head? Can't you see what I got here? We can get rich off this. If we don't throw it away like dumb fools. Let me go, Harp. I got to report this. It's my duty. Why? Who else should think knows about it? There were lots of stars shooting around tonight, weren't there? Who was around but us to see it land? That noise it made coming down wasn't much, just a bump. Nobody'd know. No one else could. This is ours. They're bound to find out sooner or later it came down, and if I didn't report it... How they knew you heard it or saw it? I tell you, it didn't make much noise. Who's to guess? So you didn't find out about it for a couple of days. Don't you see, boy? That gives us time to figure out what to do, how to make the best of it. But You listen to me. This could be the best thing that happened to us. Now, you get back to town. Go on, kid. But don't say a word. I'll keep it here. Come back tomorrow. Not early, but about the time of afternoon you always drop in. What do you do with it? Just keep it safe. Just keep it safe. Now, get going. Well, all right.
Dad?
We're going to be rich, girl. We're going to be rich.
Nago doesn't seem to be very communicative. But maybe there's more communication there than appears. An alien. How alien? How dangerous? How helpful? What sort of reaction? This strange beach ball thing.
Dad, where'd you get that suit? What have you been up to all day?
Sit down, Kathy.
What do you mean, sit down? Somebody's got to watch the cash register all day. First you stay up all night with that whatever it is, and then you...
I've been at the bank.
The bank?
That's right. I've been talking to Jim Goshen. I made a business loan. We're going to make some changes and improvements in the place here.
Oh, now, Dad, you know Jim wouldn't loan the bank's money to us.
We've got a good spot here. It's a natural for people to stop at after that long haul over the desert, particularly at night. And the line of motels is a good idea, too. Besides, it'd be a boost for the town. People who stop here will go on to buy things in Two Springs.
Well, what made him see that all of a sudden?
I did, girl. I should have gone in and laid things on the line to him a long time ago. I don't know why. Before, things never seemed to go right, but now...
Well, I don't see why now should be any different.
It was finding that thing in the back bedroom there that did it. It was like a sign. I felt like a new man this morning. When I walked in on Jim Goshen, I was that sure. I was that sure he didn't have a chance. Shook me by the hand when we were all done and said, Harvey, I believe in you. Yes, he did. That's just what he did.
Dad.
What? What's the matter with you now?
Dad, I don't like it.
Don't like it? For the first time since you were born, since your mother died, we look like we've got a chance in the world, and you say you don't like it.
It's so sudden. Last night, and now this.
This is what I was born to be, born to do. I was always meant to make money, only I could never get started. Now I know how to go about it. Now, that's all there is to it. How's the thing? You look in on it?
No, I've been so busy out front.
Let's see, then. Close the door. We don't want it rolling out of here. It wants to get away back to the thing it came in. Now, go.
Dad? What do you feed it?
What?
Feed it? Why feed it?
Well, if you aren't going to let it go.
Let go. Feed it? Let it go? You sound like that Rob. Oh, no. I told him to stay away from here. Sit tight. Hang on to it. It'll make our fortune yet. Let go. Let go.
What's that? Who's that? Who's there?
Kathy?
Rob? Rob? What in the world? Just a minute. I've got to put on a robe. Rob, what are you doing rapping at my window in the middle of the night?
Kathy, I gotta come in.
In here?
I gotta get to see it, Kathy. Just see it for a minute or two. I'm coming in. Kathy, take me to it. It wants to see me. I can feel it.
Rob, are you drunk?
You don't understand, Kathy. It can do something for me. I know it can. Kathy, listen. Listen, you like me, don't you? Won't you do that for me? Just take me to it. I bet I know where it is. It's in that extra back bedroom you and your dad use as a storeroom, isn't it?
Rob, come back here. You want to wake up Dad?
Show me.
All right, but for heaven's sake, be quiet. This way. Give me your hand.
Oh, Kathy.
Stand still. I'll get the lights. Now look out. It's right under your feet.
Lago. There it is. Yes. Yes.
Rob, don't look like that.
Lago. Kathy, listen. Did you ever want to get away? To get out into the world and do things, big things, to be famous, really famous?
Oh, Rob, you come out of here.
No, wait. Kathy, I mean it. I can do it. We can do it. All we have to do is take this thing with us. When I've got it around, I feel I know how to do it. It doesn't take much money or brains. It's just being sure. And with it, I'm sure.
Kathy, what's all that noise?
Listen to me, Kathy.
Kathy, what's going on out there? What are you doing?
Nothing, Dad. Go back to sleep.
Kathy. No, go.
Take it, Rob. What would you do with it?
I keep it with us. What else? Long as it'll last.
I'm trying to find out what's going on there.
Here comes Dad. You better go talk to him, Rob.
Yeah, I'll handle him. You wait here. Keep an eye on it.
I'll keep an eye on it, all right.
All right, now listen to me. You listen to me. So.
And now for you. Now you'll try it on me, will you? Oh, yes, you know what I want. Of course you would. I can feel you making me feel the way a beautiful woman feels. But I'm not fooled like they were, those men. I know I'm plain. You hear me? I know it. You think I could live with myself all these 19 years and let you fool me in a minute? Well, go ahead. You can make me feel it, but you can't make me believe it. Never. Never. There. You see, I won. All right now, you aren't going to drive Dad or Rob crazy anymore. I'm going to take you out in the desert and lose you where they'll never find you. You come. Good thing you aren't too heavy. I know a fine hole in the side of a wash you'll never get out of.
Nago.
Don't nago me.
Nago's specialty seems to be what you might call a promissory note. She was promising things, apparently, but, a woman is peculiar in one respect. She's remarkably practical, as well as being idealistic. And the practical pragmatism doesn't yield too well to promissory notes.
Oh, here's a place that'll hold you. I'll just put you down here, open the hole a bit, lock you down with a stone. Well, aren't you going to try once more? Oh, come now. Aren't you going to try once more to make me feel lovely and wanted and pretty?
No, go.
What was it you wanted from them anyway? From Rob and my dad? What were you after anyway? You ought to be able to make some kind of an answer. Go ahead, you can't fool me anyway. I'm onto your trick of finding out what people want and making them feel they can have it. And maybe they could have. It seemed to work for Dad. But even if your making me feel attractive would make other people think so too, I still wouldn't buy a pig in a poke. You hear that?
No, go.
All right, I don't want to hurt you. Tell me what you were after and I'll leave you here to save yourself or not. I don't care. What did you want from us? What?
No, go.
I think I can hear you. What? Oh, I didn't understand. I didn't know. I didn't know. So I'll get you to it. I'll get you to it in time. This way. Oh, I'll hurry.
Abby!
You won't find us. You won't get you up in time. Oh, please hold on. Just a little longer.
Kelly! Kelly, I'm coming! I'm following your tracks! You all right? Can you hear me, Kathy?
I can see you now. Just a little farther.
Kathy!
Here. In with you, quick. There. I'll leave him now. I'll keep him back. Here I am, Rob!
Kathy! Oh, Kathy, I thought something happened. I was crazy back there. I don't know what got into me. Kathy, I don't want what I said. All I want... Oh, you had me so scared when I found you gone.
Me? You were worried about me? Oh, Rob.
But, Kathy, that thing... I gotta find it, Kathy. Maybe it's dangerous. You don't know.
It's all right. You don't have to worry anymore. She's going home.
Kathy, you let it go? But you don't know what it tried. How could you trust it to go free? You don't understand.
There she goes. Wait for me, Rob. Wait to her with me. Of course I know. We were the ones who didn't understand. We forgot anyone could think of anybody but themselves. She's a mother, Rob. And of course she'd do anything, promise anything, to get back home to her child.
Start with a preconception. But how can you tell when you don't know the meaning of the clues? Is it a warrior? A scout seeking to bring in an invading crew? A scientist? Or perhaps a lost child? Or a mother who's missed a turn and trying to get home to baby? We start with a preconception, but preconceptions aren't always right. This time they weren't.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman who can change the course of mighty rivers,
bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Oh, boy, am I glad it's lunchtime.
Hey, Tom, you eating with anybody? How's for having lunch with me?
Okay, but I got a good start already.
Me too. Man, am I hungry. Building a bomb sure gives a guy an appetite, huh?
Yeah, it sure does. Say, which reminds me, I'm beginning to think wings run in our family.
Wings in your family?
Yeah.
Hey, fella, you sure you feel all right?
Oh, sure. I'm okay. Just figure of speech, see? It's like this. Here I am working in a plane factory, first of all.
Yeah.
And my eldest son's flying with the American Air Force somewhere in Europe.
Oh, I begin to see.
And now my youngest son turns out to be a real aviation nut. He's got about 14 model planes already.
Holy smoke, must have cost you plenty.
Now we come to the best part. He gets those models free out of Kellogg's pep packages.
Hey, some free prize.
You said it. And they're mighty neat planes, Bill. They're made out of basswood. They're all marked, so you just cut them out and put them together. You don't even need any glue.
Well, where have I been all my life? Uh-oh. You better get back to work, huh? Wait till I tell my son about this. He's nuts about planes. Yes, gang, everybody's talking about the nifty free model planes you get in the Kellogg's pep packages. But that's not the whole story. In some of the pep packages, you can get a free hot iron transfer instead of the model plane. A transfer of the U.S. Air Force combat insignia. And it's no trick at all to put this insignia on your own shirt or jacket. Now, this hot iron transfer is at the bottom of the wax paper bag inside the pep package. So remember that. And, gang, be sure you make crisp, delicious pep your own special breakfast. See how many free prizes you can collect. And remember the name now, Pep. P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek. And now, the adventures of Superman. Never in his entire career has Superman faced a situation as dangerous as the one he is involved in now. In previous episodes, we heard how a flaming meteor flashed through the heavens and landed on a farm a few miles outside Metropolis. Sent to cover the story, Superman, in his guise of the mild-mannered reporter, Clark Kent, found that when he approached the meteor, he grew dizzy and seemed to lose all strength. Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet insisted that Kent be examined by a doctor. Kent, however, realizing that his true identity of Superman might be revealed by a physical examination, refused. But White would not take no for an answer. As our last episode ended, Superman was in a spot from which there seemed no escape. To take a blood count, Dr. Turner had jabbed Kent's finger with a needle, the result being that the needle snapped and broke. Taking another needle, the doctor prepared to try again. Knowing that the needle could not possibly penetrate his skin, that it would again break, and that he would be unable to offer any explanation for the strange phenomenon, Kent was in a ticklish position. We join him now in the doctor's office as the doctor prepares to make use of the second needle. Perry White is standing by. Listen.
Now then, Kent, if you'll just hold still.
Wait a minute.
Yes?
I'm not going through any more of this. I'll do this examination as long as I can. You'll just have to end it right here.
Nonsense, my boys. I told you this won't hurt.
I can't let you jab my finger with that needle again.
Well, why not?
Well, I just can't, that's all. No, never in all my life have I heard anything quite so ridiculous. I'm sorry, Mr. White.
Now, look here, Kent. I'm beginning to lose patience with you. I must take this blood count and...
Want me to take it, Doc?
No, I'll take it.
And I'm really surprised at you.
Dr. Turner speaking.
You just don't understand, Mr. White.
Yes?
All I know is you're acting like a 5-year-old child.
Oh, okay. I'll be right over. Well, you've got a temporary reprieve, Kent. That was an emergency call from the hospital. I'll have to leave at once. But I want to see you back here tomorrow morning for that blood count.
I'll think about it. You'll think about nothing. I'll have him here in the morning, Doc. Don't worry. If I have to drag him by his hair.
Well, make it about 10. I'm sorry I have to rush you off like this, but that's how things go. You know where your clothes are, Kent.
Yes, Doctor. Thanks.
See you in the morning.
All right, now. Come on. Get dressed and we'll go. You need any help? Oh, no. I can do it alone. What in the name of heaven are you so nervous about? Nervous? Me? Yes. You're jittery as a cat. Why not? Oh, come on. Your clothes are in the next room. I'll get them. No. Don't touch my clothes. Don't touch them. All right. Good grief. Will they made of spun gold? Of course not. I just don't like people handling my clothes. Well, frankly, Kent, I think you're nuts. Okay, I'll be right out. Wow, that was close. Ooh, if Perry White had seen that red cape and the blue tights hidden underneath my business jacket, I could never have explained that. I better get into my clothes as quickly as I can. Good thing Dr. Turner was called away, or I'd be trying to explain myself out of plenty. Explain. Wish I could explain my strange reaction to that meteor. Why do I get weak every time I come within 5 feet of it? And Krypton. Why did I keep repeating that word over and over again? Krypton. What has the word Krypton to do with me? Sounds familiar, but I just can't place it. I must find out, because unless I'm very much mistaken, Krypton is the key to this whole strange business.
And Kent is right. Krypton is the key. But before he can place that key in the lock that guards the secret of Krypton, he has a long way to go. And so, a few hours later, back at the Daily Planet, as Perry White enters Clark Kent's office, he finds... but wait, let's listen.
Kent, well, what in the world... Oh, Chief. Well, what's the meaning of this? Encyclopedias piled up on your desk, reference books strewn all over the floor. What's the big idea? I'm trying to find some explanation for the word Krypton. Now, wait a minute, Kent. Wait a minute. Aren't you going a little overboard about all this? What do you mean? Well, people have collapsed before, you know, and have said so many strange things while they were semi-conscious. Sure, I'm aware of that, but somehow, for some unaccountable reason, I've just got a feeling that the word Krypton means something. Well, I doubt it. You found anything? No, not a thing. I don't even know how to spell it. That should be simple. Krypton. Oh, sure, that's one way, but it might be CRI or KRI or any one of a dozen combinations. Heaven help me, I think I'll try them all. If I were you, I'd forget it. I suppose you're right. No point in getting too excited about it. Kent, you understand that my only interest here is to help, don't you? Well, certainly, Chief. Why do you ask? Merely because I had a feeling you didn't want me to help. Oh, that you would rather be left alone. No, Chief, not at all. I really get hunches. When I do, they're usually right. Now, tell me, why did you refuse to be examined by Dr. Turner? Oh, now, Chief, no. Don't let's go into that again. Has Lois returned from the museum yet? No, and don't change the subject. I'm not. Krypton might be spelled CRIPPTON. I'll have a look. Kent, you're worried. Oh, no. Yes, you are. Why do you go on denying it? Worry is written in every line of your face. I've noticed it from the moment you first collapsed, when you got close to that meteor. I've collapsed before. We ought to be used to that by this time. No, it's different this time. You've always had a reason for folding up in the past. You've been frightened by something, unnerved by danger. But this time there was no danger, nothing to be afraid of. I could even let that pass if I didn't have the feeling that something's bothering you. No, nothing's bothering me, Chief, believe me. Well, all right, if you insist. But I don't understand it. I really don't. Dr. Turner said, so far as he was concerned, there couldn't possibly be anything wrong with you. He said you have the physique of a Superman. What's the matter? Nothing. I accidentally tore the page of this encyclopedia. Oh. Well, I give up. Can't find Krypton in any of these reference books. Except, of course, the gas Krypton, which can't possibly have any connection. I guess I better get to work on the media story for the late edition. Lois can take care of that. Why don't you go home and rest? Oh, I'm not in need of any rest. I'll just sit down and bang out a rough draft. All right, if you want to, but Lois ought to have a lot more information about it when she gets back from the museum. Yes, that's right. Dr. Whistler has probably been able to explain to her what kind of a meteor it is, where it came from, and all the rest of it. Ken. Yes, Chief? I hope you'll excuse my harping on the same subject so long, but don't you really think you should take a vacation, go away for a few weeks? No, I don't. I feel fine. I must say you look all right, but...
Oh, so there you are.
Well, it's about time, Miss Lane.
I got back as quickly as I could, Chief.
Oh, good. Now that you're here, you can help me write the story about that meteor for the late edition. Suppose you... Oh, Lois, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me that way?
Clark, just what are you hiding from Mr. White and me?
Hiding?
That's what I said. What are you hiding from us?
Nothing that I know of.
That's not true, Clark.
Oh, wait a minute, Lois. Take it easy. Yes, please take it easy. It seems to me...
I'm not interested in how things seem to you. I've got some questions I want to ask you, and I want straight answers.
Now, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I don't get this, Lois. I don't get it at all.
Well, then perhaps I'd better explain.
Well, it would sort of help.
Well, I've just come from the museum, Chief, where I watched Dr. Whistler put that meteor through 101 tests. It was fascinating. He threw a lot of scientific lingo at me while he worked, but I
suppose you forget the build-up, Lois. Just what's wrong. What's happened? Yes.
Well, he worked over it, chipping off a piece of the blackened crust here and there, applying acids and chemicals of all descriptions.
Yes?
Finally, he told me what that meteor is.
Well?
When I heard its name, Clark, I nearly fell through the floor.
Why?
I made sure I heard right, and then I came over here as quickly as I could.
Well, what did you hear? What did Dr. Whistler tell you?
Prepare yourself for a shock, Chief. The name of that meteor is kryptonite.
As Lois pronounces the name kryptonite, Clark Kent and Perry White stare at her in blank amazement. In a moment, we'll bring you the exciting climax to today's story. But first, here is another important message. Gang, have you noticed every now and then that you can't always have the seconds of some of the things you like best? Well, that's not true where Kellogg's Pep is concerned. There's plenty of Pep for everybody these days. And what's more, Pep's mighty good for you as well as mighty good to eat. Why, just one one-ounce serving of those crisp, golden whole wheat flakes gives you the vitamin D you need for one day. And Pep is the only nationally advertised wheat flake cereal to give you this amount of the sunshine vitamin. And that's not all. Right inside every single package of Pep is a free prize. A model plane or a hot iron transfer of one of the U.S. Air Force combat insignia. This hot iron transfer is at the bottom of the wax paper bag inside the Pep package. So remember that. And gang, be sure your mother gets you a package of Pep tomorrow. Remember the name Pep, P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek. And now, back to our story. Lois, facing Perry White and Clark Kent in the latter's office, says,
Prepare yourselves for a shock. The name of that meteor is kryptonite.
Kryptonite? Never heard of it myself.
Nor did I. Dr. Whistler told me few people ever had. The planet Krypton was known to a handful of astronomers and no one else. And yet you, Clark, while you were unconscious, mentioned the name Krypton over and over again. How do you explain it?
Explain it?
Well, you knew of its existence. You must have, or you could never have spoken its name. Yet Dr. Whistler assures me that the people who know about Krypton can be counted on the fingers of one hand, and that every single one of them is a scientist. Now, you're no scientist, Clark, and you never have been, so far as I know.
No, but...
You couldn't possibly have any knowledge of the planet Krypton. Yet you distinctly mentioned its name over and over again.
I know.
Well, explain it, Mr. Kent. Explain it if you can.
Explain it? How can Clark Kent explain it, when even he at the moment has only a hazy knowledge of his true origin? Dazed, bewildered, with hundreds of unanswered questions rushing through his mind, he can only stand and stare at Lois Lane. What will be the outcome of this latest predicament Superman finds himself in? What can he do to preserve his long-held secret? Be sure to be with us tomorrow, same time, same station, for another exciting episode. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
Follow The Adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman the...
The Super Delicious Cereal presents The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. Brought to you by that Super Delicious Cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Today we return to a dramatic moment in the saga of Superman. Did his astonishing powers really desert him as he faced the Nazi agent's gun? Well, we'll soon find out. But right now, let's adjourn to the Pep Aviation Club, where a new member is being shown around.
And here are all our model Pep planes over on this table by the window, Jack. And over here in the corner, we've got all the scrapbooks we made on the Pep model. Here, take a look at these.
Jeepers, I never even heard of some of the models we've got here.
How many can we get all together? 20. There are 4 British ones, 2 Russian ones, and 14 American models altogether.
Oh, gee, look at this one, this Russian job. What do you know about this one, Tommy? The stern of it.
Let's see. So, we haven't got much in the scrapbook about that one so far. The Russians don't say much about their planes. I've got the envelope of instructions that the Pep model stern of it came in, though. See? There are lots of pointers on the back.
Yeah, I see. Hey, what are those big scrapbooks over there on the table?
So one of them's on the P47 Thunderbolt, and the other's got clippings on the P40.
Oh, gee. I'd like to find out more about these things. Do you suppose I could borrow a couple of these scrapbooks?
Oh, sure. But be careful of them. They're the official property of the Pep Aviation Club, you know.
Oh, I'll be careful. And thanks a lot, Tommy.
Well, gang, there are lots of surprises in store for the new Boy Jack, so be sure to keep on listening. Meantime, don't forget that there are two types of prizes you can get in the Kellogg's Pep packaging. The model plane or the hot iron transfer of one of the U.S. Air Force combat insignia. And this hot iron transfer, by the way, is at the bottom of the wax paper bag inside the Pep package. Remember that. And gang, don't forget that Kellogg's Pep is one of the crispiest, crunchiest, best-tasting cereals you ever took a spoon to. Keep on making crisp, delicious Kellogg's Pep your own special breakfast every single morning. Keep on collecting those nifty prizes. And remember the name Pep. P-E-P. Pep is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek.
And now, the adventures of Superman. Hailing a Nazi spy ring to its headquarters, a small printing shop in an obscure section of Metropolis, Clark Kent and Lois Lane ran into trouble. Having overheard two members of the ring, Baron Trunk and Walter Franksmith, planning the destruction of 1,000 planes flying Fortress Armada with a new, secret German weapon, Kent and Lois attempted to leave the shop to warn the furniture man, but were held at gunpoint by the Baron. Shielding Lois with his body, Kent defied the Nazi spy leader, safe in the knowledge that as Superman, no bullet could harm him. As we continue now, the scene is tense. A single green-shaded light burns in the dirty little printing shop. Lois is standing behind Kent, who is facing the Baron and his henchman Franksmith. The Baron's index finger tightens on the trigger of his gun. Listen.
I will count 10. Young lady does not obey my order and go down to the back door to the basement. By the time I am through counting, I will shoot.
Oh, please, let me go.
Don't move, Lois. You think perhaps I'm afraid to fire for fear the shot will be heard. Evidently you've forgotten what I told you. The gun is equipped with a silencer. Only here beyond these 4 years.
The young lady is staying right where she is.
You are committing suicide. I count. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, don't be a fool.
4.
You're going to shoot.
5.
Don't move, Lois. I said don't move.
8, 9, 10. Yeah. And you are next. Franklin, I won't start like this. Speak up as loud and I'll check if something's wrong with the silence on this gun. Play. Stand at the door now, Franklin. Keep watch. You remain here till you're certain the shot was not heard. Let's take you, young woman. Keep quiet, or I will not be so merciful as to let you die quickly and without pain. They'd ever use the butt of this revolver. Quiet, I said. Are you coming, Francis? Keep watching. We'll wait another moment or two. Stupid fool of an American. What has he gotten for his bravery? A bullet through his heart. Some days he will learn, the ignorant pig, that he has a master. What is? The policeman comes down the street. Do that. Stand back to your door. Keep low. And you, young lady, if you open your mouth, I will split your skull. He's coming down. Quiet. Nothing could have happened. If you would let him in, I would have shot him down. Turn on the light now. Didn't I tell you to keep your shut your mouth? No. The body, huh? It is gone. It's in Jimmy.
Like 3 graven images, unable to believe their eyes, Lois, the Baron, and Franksmith stare at the spot on the floor where only a moment ago Clark Kent's body lay in a crumpled heap, to all appearances dead, with a bullet in his heart. But appearances are often deceiving, for Kent, in his role of Superman, having taken advantage of the momentary darkness to slip quietly down through the open trapdoor to the basement, is now awaiting development. A faint smile touches his lips as his X-ray eyes view the scene on the floor above him. Finally, the Baron, pale and visibly shaken, breaks the silence.
Something has gone wrong, Francis.
You must get out of here. The bodies do not move. Where is it? Oh, what must you stand there with your mouth open asking stupid questions? How should I know where it is? Take it out to the basement. No. Come.
Don't hit me, I said.
Yes, put your hand over her mouth. Take her down. I will remain up here at the trapdoor in case a policeman heard us scream. Go up into that storage closet facing the stairway. Lock the door. You need help, Francis?
I can handle her. What is the scream?
Once she's in the closet, she will not scream for long. Here's the lock in the closet, That's it. Stand aside now. What are you going to do? The door to that closet, only twin wood. I'm going to empty this gun into it. But if you throw back down there, how can you see to aim? Aiming is not necessary. The closet is there in front of the stairway. One of the 5 bullets will find its mark. Stand back. You see? You no longer scream for help. I fired only 3 bullets. Remain easy, other 2. I saved them. Come, let us go. That's the body of that one. The man's body. There is it. Again, you ask me what difference does it make? Do not meet in this place again. There's nothing here to indicate it is anything more than a printing shop. And I should have turned the key on the door for the last time. After this, we'll meet at my place. Come. It appears we've been very fortunate.
As the Baron and his henchman leave the shop, the red-faced figure standing in front of the basement closet door, the figure who only a moment before watched 3 revolver bullets bounce harmlessly off his chest, smiles knowingly. Yes, Baron Kranz, you have been fortunate. But good fortune won't last very long. And if I have anything to say about it, I'll draw close. He's gone. Now, I guess I can break this tissue paper wood and get below it. There we are. Oh, poor kid. Fainted when the Baron's gun began to bark. I'll just get her up for a minute. Have a moment. Coming to. Easy.
I'm cold.
Now, take it easy, lad. Everything's all right. You're safe now.
You can't see me there.
An old friend of yours.
Superman.
That's right.
Superman, we murdered Corbett. A man named Brian Cruz and not his father.
Relax, Lois, relax. Kent's alive and well.
But I saw the Baron shooting. Point blank.
You hit the nail on the head, Lois. Point blank is right. There were no bullets in the Baron's gun.
What?
He didn't know it was loaded with blanks.
But Cross dropped in his heat.
Well, he probably fainted when the gun went off, just as you did.
Superman, what happened to him when they turned on the lights? His body was gone.
That was my little trick. I sneaked him out and brought him through. As a matter of fact, he's on his way to the headquarters of the ferry command at the airport. He said to tell you to have Jimmy Olsen bring over any clippings on Baron Kranz he can dig up in the Daily Planet morgue.
What happened to Kranz and Kranz?
They got away for the time being.
Yeah, that can't say true of it. We just know what you're talking about. I'm to return to the Planet office, dig out the clippings, and send them to Clark at Ferry Command headquarters with you.
That's right. How'd you like me to fly you back to the Planet office?
Oh, can't think of anything I'd like better.
All right, let's go. Be careful, the ferry. You see all right?
Not very well.
Right, here, Edwin, I'll help you. Just swing one arm around my neck. All right, up with you. The door of the shop is open.
Yes, Clark broke the lock.
Ah, here we are in the back alley. All right, hold on now. We're going. Up and away! With Lois as a delighted passenger, Superman leaps into the darkness, his red cape gleaming. In just a minute, we'll return for the climax of our story at Ferry Command headquarters. But first, John wants to tell you how to start the day right. Go ahead, John.
John, have you ever noticed how a really swell breakfast kind of sets you up for the rest of the day? Well, if you have, you'll probably find that goes just about double when you start off the morning with a couple of bowls full of golden, delicious Kellogg's Pep. Yes, sir, those crunchy, tempting whole wheat flakes are just chock full of the hearty flavor all of us go for. And what's more, there's a keen prize inside every single Pep package. A marble plane or a hot iron transfer of one of the U.S. Air Force combat insignia.
Gang, be sure your mother gets you a package of Cap tomorrow. And remember the name Cap. P-E-P. Cap is made by Kellogg's in Battle Creek. And now back to our story. Superman, once more in the guise of Clark Kent, is seated in the office of Colonel Jonathan Hill at Ferry Command Headquarters. The colonel, an ace pilot in his own right, and directly in charge of all overseas flights, shakes his head in amazement as Kent recounts his experiences of the last few hours. Unbelievable, Mr. Kent. You mean to say this Baron Crowns is planning to destroy an armada of 1,000 American bombers? Are you planning to send 1,000 bombers to Italy within a week? Well, that information, Mr. Kent, is, of course, a military secret. Since we have to assist us in rounding up this firing, you should know. Yes, we are. And that flight of 1,000 B-17s will leave this airport to Italy the day after tomorrow. Oh, and the Baron's information is correct. The one thing he doesn't know is when the flight is leaving, but he has a way of finding out. I told you a member of his ring, a faithless American, is now working at this airport. He's been assigned to learn when the flight's taking off. You mentioned the traitor's name, didn't you? Yes, I did. George Adams. No traitor should be permitted to own a good American name like Adams. What about that secret weapon you were the Nazis discussing? Well, the Baron revealed no details, simply that it was a weapon that could wipe out the 1,000 flying corpses without any difficulty. In fact, the weapon would end the war in a month in Germany's favor. There's only one thing to do, Mr. Kent, if you're willing. Count on me, Kent. Good. Here's my plan. If possible, we want to round up the entire ring and at the same time get some information about that secret weapon. Of course. I suggest that tomorrow morning we'll put you on here as a grease monkey, an assistant mechanic. You try and get close to this George Adams person, pose as a Nazi sympathizer. Good idea. Tell him you know when the flight's leaving and the route it's going to take. You can report to me at night when the day shift is cleared out. Sounds good to me, sir. There's only one favor I'd like to ask. No, what is it? Can my young assistant, Jimmy Olsen, work with me on this job? He should be here any minute. You can meet him. Of course, that is all right. Now, what do we want to result? Number one, rounding up the ring. Number two, getting the dope on that weapon. I can promise you both those things, Colonel Hill. You're not Superman, are you? Huh? Oh, no. No, but I'm the closest thing to him. And Clark Kent isn't kidding. He certainly is the closest thing to Superman. In fact, as we all know, he's Superman himself. But even a man of steel has his work cut out for him this trip. Baron Crunch wasn't exaggerating about the new German secret weapon. It's a weapon that needs no bullets and no shells. The deadliest weapon yet to come out of this or any other war. 1,000 American flying fortresses are in danger, and even Superman may be powerless to help them. So keep following this story for thrills and excitement. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, and follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you by the makers of that super delicious cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman PC publications.
Stand by to raise ship. Blast off. -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0!
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. In the steaming gaseous fog which forever shrouds the planet Venus, a tall, solidly built young man wearing the trim uniform of a space cadet strides briskly along a deserted street in the city of Venusport on his way toward the spaceport. Suddenly, another tall young man steps out of a darkened alleyway, trailed closely by a smaller, wizened follower, and plants himself in the cadet's path.
Excuse me. You're Cadet Astro, aren't you? What? Yes, I am. Who are you? Don't you recognize me? Take a close look. What? Jumping Jupiter. Surprised? Why, you look just like me. Yes. Amazing resemblance, isn't it? In case you've forgotten, I'm your cousin, Merkel. My cousin? You've heard of me. Yes, I have. Nothing very complimentary, I'll bet. No, No, not very. I didn't think so. Come on. Let's go someplace and get acquainted, Astro. Sorry, I've got to get to the spaceport and catch a ship back to Earth. I'm afraid you won't be able to make that ship, Astro. What do you mean? I've got other plans for you. All right, Beale. Hey, wait a minute. What is this? Who are you? Ooh. Nice work, Beale. Now let's drag my dear cousin Astro inside and go to work on him. Come on, Astro. Wake up. Wake up. How much sodium pentothal did you give him, Beale?
Just enough to make sure he tells the truth when he comes to. Will you look at him, though? You and him are like two peas in a pod, Mirko.
My hair's a little darker.
That's easily fixed. When you put his uniform on, nobody will be able to tell you apart.
I hope not. If anything goes wrong, it'll mean my neck.
Nothing needs to go wrong if you keep your wits about you.
Oh.
He's coming too. Well, how are you feeling now, Astro, my lad?
Who are you? Where am I?
You're with a friend, lad.
A friend?
That's right. Stay behind him. Listen sharp to the way he talks, Mirko.
Right.
Now, Astro, I'd like you to tell me about Space Academy. About your friends there. Your unit mates.
Yes, sir.
I guess you know Tom Corbett and Roger Manning pretty well. Hey, Astro?
They're my best friends.
Tell me about them. Corbett first.
They don't come any better than Tom. He's a great guy. Beale, ask him if he and Corbett have nicknames for each other.
Tell me, you and Corbett have nicknames for each other?
No. Roger and I call each other names sometimes. He calls me Venusian Hillbilly or Clunkhead.
Uh-huh. What else about him?
Nothing much. Roger's all right. Just needs some of the space gas blown out of his tubes once in a while. Tom and I take care of that. We keep him in line.
Astro.
What's the matter with him, Beale? Why did he pass out?
The drug acts like that. He'll come to again in a few minutes, and I can pump in some more. Did you get everything he said?
Sure.
Next time, I'll ask him about Captain Strong and Commander Ock.
Don't bother. I have all the information I need on them.
Well, all right. You know, I think this will work out just fine, Mirko.
So far. But the big test comes when I show up at Space Academy. Incidentally, what happens to my dear cousin when I leave?
Never mind about him.
I do mind. I wouldn't want him showing up at the Academy, too.
You won't have to worry about that, Mirko. Your dear cousin Astro ain't ever going to see Space Academy again. We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Astro, Roger Manning, Dr. Joan Dale, Tom Corbett. You can get picture cutouts of all four on packages of Kellogg's Pep. You'll have a mountain of fun with these cutout spacemen. You can even build a setting to show your Space Cadet cutouts in action. Now, just suppose that the cadets had landed on the moon and were tracking down space pirates. Well, to show that, you draw a picture of the moon's surface, craters and all. Then you'd make a picture of the Polaris. Next, take the Space Cadet cutouts and put them right on the setting. And there you have it, a real Space Cadet scene. And once you get all four Space Cadet cutouts, you'll be able to use them all different ways. You can even act out today's adventure. So don't delay. Start collecting Space Cadet picture cutouts now. Have Kellogg's Pep for breakfast every morning. Kellogg's Pep gives you all the goodness of wheat, all the flavor of malt, all the get-up-and-go energy of a real spaceman cereal. When you finish the package, cut out the Space Cadet picture on the back. It's loads of fun to play with Space Cadet cutouts, and it's loads of fun to start off each day with a build-up wheat cereal, Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Unaware that their unit mate Astro is being held prisoner on his home planet Venus, Tom Corbett and Roger Manning greet Astro's impersonator as he enters their dormitory.
Astro! Greetings, space boys.
Well, the Venusian hillbilly himself. Where you been, lunkhead? You had us worried.
You know those space liners. We were held up half a day on Luna, rounding up a couple of tourists who got lost.
A space liner? You came back on a space liner?
Well, Well, sure.
You mean you bought passage on a ship when you could fly for free on a Solar Guard cruiser?
Oh, well, you know, finishing up your leave and all, you like to make a splash. And I always did want to ride in one of those floating space palaces.
You always swore you'd never set foot in one.
And where'd you get that kind of money? The fare on one of those jobs is almost a year's pay.
Well, you see...
Don't tell me you put the bite on your uncle.
Yeah, that's it.
Brother, why in blazes did you talk me into leaving Venus a week early, Tom?
Well, you said you wanted to prowl, Roger, and I wanted to see my folks, so...
Speaking of prowling, Roger, any new conquests?
Well, now that you mention it, Astro, old pal.
Oh, Astro, why'd you give him the opening?
There was the cutest little operator at Cadet Marshall's party last night. A real dick.
Yeah? How is Marshall? I haven't seen him in a long time.
Huh?
Are you kidding, Astro?
Why, no.
Oh, don't tell me you kissed and made up.
Well...
You and he almost tore each other apart the last time you met. How come the sudden change of heart?
Oh, well, I thought it over, and that was kid stuff. I just as soon drop the whole matter.
Huh? Well, I'll be a Martian mouse. What gives here?
I never saw you act like this before, Astro, or talk this way either. Astro, don't you hear me?
Tom, what's the matter with him? He's just standing there, staring.
Astro, what's wrong?
Come on, snap out of it, you big ape.
What?
Astro, you're all right.
What happened?
That's what we'd like to know. We were talking to you, and all of a sudden you went clear out of this world.
Oh, the doctor said this would happen.
Oh, what doctor?
What's wrong with you?
Well, it's this way, fellas. I didn't want to say anything before, but Liner was... Well, I lied to you.
But why, Astro?
To cover up. You see, I had a little accident. It happened after you two left Venus. I hurt my head and was laid up at the hospital.
Why didn't you tell us?
Oh, I didn't want to spoil your vacation. Anyhow, the medico said I'd have, well, spells, you might call it, when I'd go blank and forget things.
Well, you still should be checked by the Academy medico.
Oh, but I'll fall behind in class. I'll lose my place with you fellas in the unit. Look, I promise, if I do any more blanking or anything like that, I'll see the medico. But right now, let me sweat it out, huh?
Well, if his doctor on Venus said it was okay for him to come back to the Academy, I guess it is, Tom.
Sure it is.
Well, maybe. Okay, Astro, we'll sweat it out with you. But we'll keep a close eye on you.
Thanks, Tom.
Gosh, Astro, I was starting to get some cockeyed ideas about you, but if you just fell on your head, well, you can't really damage that Venusian rot.
No, I guess I can't. And you just watch, fellas. Everything's going to work out fine.
MC 394. Marco calling Bill. Marco calling Bill. Come in.
Bill here. Go ahead, Mirko.
I just made the contact. I'll be able to swing it tonight, I think.
That's the way to talk. You have the schedule?
Yeah, but I want to double check. I'll contact you again later.
Right.
How's my charming cousin?
He's as snug as a bug. Don't worry about him.
I won't, as long as you're taking care of him. Well, talk to you later.
So long, Mirko. Do a good job tonight.
Hey, Roger. Roger, wake up.
Huh? What's the matter, Tom?
Get up, but be quiet about it. Astro just sneaked out of the dorm.
He what? But it's the middle of the night. Where's he going?
That's what we're going to find out. He had a package with him. Come on. Look, Roger. Astro's heading for the spaceport.
What in blazes is that lunkhead up to?
That's what I want to know. Keep moving, but stay in the shadows.
Tom, I don't like spying like this.
Oh, neither do I, but I think Astro's in trouble. If we can find out what it is, maybe we can help him.
Who said he's in trouble?
Well, there's something wrong with him. Haven't you noticed how different he's been since he came back from Venus?
Well, the poor guy had a bad accident. He fell on his head.
I know, but there's something else. Something I can't put my finger on. He's been, kind of sly.
Sly? Astro? Oh, come off it, Tom.
Well, what do you call sneaking out here in the middle of the night like this?
Well, he must have had a good reason.
Wait, look. He's heading for the Unit 2 cruiser, the Vega. Come on.
What in blazes is that ape up to?
Search me. Hey, look out for that crate, Roger.
Ooh, blasted.
Find this ramp. Astro's turning around.
I don't think he spotted us. Tom, look. You can see him clearer now. I think the poor guy's walking in his sleep.
Well, you're space handy.
He is. See how he's got his hands out in front of him?
He wasn't walking like that before.
Well, we couldn't see him clearly before. It was too dark.
I'm sure that...
Hey, he went right past the Vega. He's heading for the canal. Come on, Tom. He's liable to fall right into the drink. Astro! Hey, Astro, wait!
Not so loud, Roger. You'll bring the watch.
Well, hurry up before he falls in. Here he is.
I got him.
See? His eyes are closed. Astro, wake up.
What? Tom, Roger.
Take it easy now, fella.
What are we doing out here?
You were walking in your sleep.
I was?
Looks like it. You never did this before, Astro.
Well, I did it at home a couple of times after the accident, Tom.
Oh?
Gosh, I'm sorry, fellas.
Get it. It wasn't your fault. Uh-oh. There's the watch. Come on. We can slip into the door in the back way.
Wait a minute.
What's the matter, Tom?
Astro had a package with him.
A package?
Yes, you must have dropped it.
Never mind. We've got to make tracks or we'll all land in the brig. Let's blast.
Mirko, calling Dale. Come in, Dale.
Beale here. About time you called in, Mirko. What in blazes happened last night?
Listen.
The boys were there when the Vega landed. There wasn't anything aboard. Central Control is burning mad.
Corbett, Manny caught me. It's all right, though. I made them think I was sleepwalking. Manny bugged my story, but I'm not positive about Corbett.
How about that?
Everything else is okay. But I don't want to try it again tonight, in case Corbett is still suspicious. I'll wait till tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. Understand?
Tomorrow. Right. But nothing's better go wrong again, Mirko.
It won't. This time, I'll make sure those cadet punks don't follow me. I've got to cut out now, Beale. I won't contact you again unless the schedule's changed.
Right.
Well, looks like Tom and Roger were too smart for Mirko, huh, Beale?
Button, if you're still alive, we'll let him court-martial you for a traitor.
What? Well, that's the way you're going to play it, huh?
That's the way, exactly.
Why, you dirty space crawler out?
Go on. Bust your muscles. You can't break them ropes.
Oh, I can't, huh?
Jupiter.
Now let's see if you can take it as well as you dish it out.
No, you don't. Keep back.
Don't go away, pal. You're going to have some sweet dreams. Right from my...
No.
Hey, Roger, look. What's that? The package Astro was carrying the other night. I just fished it out of the canal. He must have thrown it in when he heard us coming. Oh? What is it? Just a box. I'll try to get the top off with my knife. Tom, I don't understand you. You're acting as if you don't trust Astro. I'm not sure I do, Roger. There we are. Well, come on. What's in it?
Kind of curious, aren't you, fellas?
Astro.
So you found it, eh, Corbett? I figured you did when it wasn't in the canal.
Hey, Astro.
Smart, Corbett. But this time you outsmarted yourself. Now you and your pal are in trouble.
Maybe you're the one who's in trouble.
Not me. I just have to change my plans a little.
Look, what goes on here? Tom, Astro... He isn't Astro, Roger. Not Astro? No, I don't know who he is, but... A ray gun. Tom, he pulled a gun on us. What in the universe?
We're going out to the spaceport, boys. Right now.
What's the idea?
Just do as I say. You'll walk in front, Manning. Then Corbett. And I'll be right behind you. If you make one sound, I'll blast you. Now, march!
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by. There's big news at Kellogg's, spacemen, and that means good news for you. All the swell Kellogg cereals have been dressed up in brand new packages. You can see them right now at your grocery store. Why, some of the pictures on some Kellogg's packages look good enough to eat, but they're just there to show you what a swell cereal there is waiting inside for you. And don't forget, on the regular-sized package of Kellogg's Pep, you get an exciting Space Cadet picture cutout, one that you can make a stand for and put in a Space Cadet setting of your own. All the new faces on the Kellogg cereal packages are bright and happy pictures. You want to have one on your breakfast table every morning. And if it's a Kellogg cereal, you know that you're going to want a big bowlful, too. So make a date right now to go to your grocery store and see all the new faces on the Kellogg cereals. Then you'll be saying,
did you see what I saw? Kellogg's on display in brand new boxes, bright and gay. These famous cereals come your way. Go see this eyeful. The Kellogg's All-Star Breakfast Show has a cheerful look, a lift for you. Start you off with a hoop-de-doo. Kellogg's for breakfast and a happy, happy day. Get a big surprise today.
See the big K-Day display of the new Kellogg packages at your grocery store.
While the Academy sleeps, Tom and Roger are forced to go to the spaceport with Mirko, who is masquerading as Astro and who is armed. At Mirko's command, the two cadets approach the space cruiser Polaris, which looms sleek and gleaming under the pale light of the stars.
Blast it, but I was dumb, Tom, not to realize this guy wasn't Astro.
I wasn't exactly bright either, Roger, not to catch on sooner than I did.
All right, you two, hold it.
What happens now, Mr. Rat?
You'll find out, Manning. Turn around and face the ship.
Why?
Turn around, I said. You too, Corbett.
He's going to finish us with that ray gun and blast off in the Polaris, Tom.
Listen, Roger. Sounds like a ship coming in for a landing.
Yeah, it is. A solar guard destroyer.
It'll be too late to help you, Corbett. Oh,
Why, you slept, Tom.
And here's yours, Manning. Oh. Now, brother cadets, let's blast off for a nice little joyride in space.
Tom, you okay? That phony slug that's been tied us up and dumped us down here in the hold of the Polaris.
I feel like I've been run over by a steamroller, but I guess I'll live.
Not for long. That crazy space joker up on the control deck can't handle the ship alone.
Nothing much we can do about it now, I'm afraid.
Hey, somebody's coming. You suppose it's
Jumping Jupiter Astro.
What?
Hello, fellas. Sorry I took so long getting up here, but riding acceleration without cushions is no picnic.
Astro, how in the universe did
Wait
you...
a minute, Tom. Maybe he isn't Astro. It's that other joker trying to trick us.
Why, you space-happy rockhead, if you don't know me by this time...
That's Astro, all right.
Well, don't just stand there. Get us out of this.
All right. Keep your flaps trimmed.
Well, what's going on here anyway, Astro? Where have you been? Who is this character?
He looks enough like you to be your twin.
He's a cousin. Name's Mirko. Haven't heard from him in years. He and a gang he's working with nailed me on Venus when I was on my way back to the Academy.
But why?
Yeah.
Look, will you guys stop wriggling around and let me get these wires off?
Okay, but keep talking.
The idea was for Mirko to pose as me at the Academy and help this gang smuggle stuff out of Earth.
Where to?
What kind of stuff?
I don't know. When I broke away from them yesterday morning, I didn't hang around to ask questions. Anyhow, Mirko would hide the stuff on Academy ships that wouldn't be suspected or even subject to customs search. And then the gang would pick it up at some spaceport en route.
Pretty clever operation.
There you are. You're both loose. Now, where's my dear cousin?
Topside, on the control deck.
He's liable to kill us all the way he's handling this ship.
Well, let's get him.
Oh, nothing doing, Roger. This is my job.
But Astro...
Look, Tom, after what I went through, I deserve this. You stay down here.
Better hurry up, Astro.
Don't worry, this will be short and sweet. Just stay there and listen.
Tom, you think maybe we'd better follow him?
No, this is his party. Let him enjoy it.
Hiya, cousin. Shake hands.
Wow, he sure is. Oh, listen to him. Those punches even hurt down here.
Maybe we had better break it up. There won't be anything left of Mirko.
Uh-oh, that sounded like taps to me.
Astro, are you all right?
All right. I feel terrific.
Well, let's get up on the control deck. This ship is running away with us.
Okay. But look, I've been thinking, Tom.
Stick to your fists, Astro. You think a lot better with them.
Well, I'm serious. Instead of going back to the Academy, why don't we head for Venus and pick up the rest of that smuggling gang before they get away? I left them there when I escaped.
Hey, that's a great idea,
Are
Tom.
you guys kidding? Commander Arkwright would have our ears if we blasted off on our own. But we'll put it up to him when we get back.
A fine thing. Just when I was beginning to enjoy myself.
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, when Tom, Roger, and Astro rocket to Venus on a dangerous assignment with the smugglers and find themselves in the greatest peril of their lives in Part 2 of The Riddle of Astro. Tune in, same time, same station, for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal.
Spaceman, this is Tom Corbett. Thousands of families have been driven from their homes by the floods in the Midwest, and they need our help now. And money from you and your parents will help them in this terrible emergency. So give to the Red Cross.
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast were Al Markham and Jan Merlin. Today's program was written by Ben Peter Freeman and directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Begg speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. And what a secret. In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal all in one box. And no other raisin brand but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's because Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Escape tonight to Paris of 500 years ago. The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations presents Escape, a new series of programs of which this, the fifth, is The Sire de Maltroits Door by Robert Louis Stevenson, produced and directed by William N. Robeson. The pen of Robert Louis Stevenson has been an avenue of escape for 3 generations. Our grandparents thrilled to the macabre metamorphosis of Dr. Jekyll, just as we will never forget the nursery menace called Long John Silver. Tonight we escape with Robert Louis Stevenson down another avenue, which leads to Paris in 1429, and the amazing adventure of the Sire de Maltroits Door. Dark of the Moon, 1429, Paris. The House of Burgundy holds the throne of France, and English men-at-arms patrol the narrow streets. Troublous times for any man to be lost, on foot, at night. You there! Over here, by the wall.
What's this? Now the shadows themselves are speaking.
I'm no shadow.
A real live human being.
I've managed to get myself lost in these confounded alleys. Can you tell me where I am?
Well, now, a fine young cavalier, no less. And he's lost.
I'm trying to find the Beaucent Inn. Will this street lead me there?
Lad, one street is as good as another, and none of them will ever lead a man anywhere.
Oh, come now. You must know something about this part of Paris. Think, man, a patrol may pass at any moment.
You're wanted, then.
I have a safe conduct pass from the captain of the garrison.
Safe conduct, he says. To find what a good that'll do you here in the dark of the night.
Well, you're certainly not helping my chances any.
No, lad. The only safe conduct you have is that sword swinging at your side.
Wait, quiet. A patrol. They're coming this way.
I'm inclined to think you're right.
I've got to run for it. Tell them nothing.
When I should tell what to whom.
Wait, halt! Someone's there. Speak up. Who are you?
Speak up, is it? And you a blundering pack of 2-day grenadiers that walk like a herd of cattle such as me? Speak up. That served with a mad Prince Charlie himself. May he rest in peace.
An old campaigner, eh? Hey, where you from, soldier?
Fontainebleau, from a smarter outfit in bivouac than the likes of you in quarters.
A bit in the scuffs, huh, man? Seen anybody about, old-timer?
Naught but shadows and tankards of ale. Fine French cavalier who departed hence without a bio-leaf.
What's
now.
that? Where'd he go?
Oh, who knows? Perhaps he went one way, maybe the other. Though I think it was the other there.
All right, men. French cavalier, eh? We'll have him like a fowl in a spit. Spread out, cover the street. Keep an eye out. Don't let it slip away between you. Forward now. Touch every corner.
Oh, the fool. The drunken fool. I'm for it now, all right. This cross street. There's a bare chance they'll pass it by. If I can only get through here. Oh, no. It's a dead end, unless this leads... No, it's only the door to a house. Caught like a rat in a trap. All right. If it's so written, then so be it. With a bit of luck, there'll be 2 or 3 go with me. Huh? The door. It's unlocked. I can push it open. Black as the mouth of hell inside. Well, what have I got to lose?
Come alive now. You have to be here someplace. Turn up that door, you dog! Can't you see the press above it?
He's not here. He's gone.
That he has. Didn't come in here after all. All right, back to the corner. He's a sly one for sure.
That was close. Too close. Now to get out of here, and no one in the house will ever be the wiser. Huh? What's this? The door's locked. Well, it's a trap. But why? Why would such a thing be done? I came in here by chance, 1 chance against 1,000,000. Wait. It's a light. Somewhere inside the house. Well, by all rights, I should be dead at this moment. So...
Come in, young man. I've been expecting you all evening.
I fear you must be mistaken, sir. My visit is quite unexpected for both of us.
That's good. That's very good. For the both of us, you say. Well, no matter. You're here. That's the main point. Take a seat, my boy. Put yourself at ease. We'll arrange our little affairs presently.
There seems to be some misunderstanding. You see, your door was standing...
Oh, the door. That was a little piece of ingenuity. Don't you agree?
So you must know that I had no intention of intruding without an invitation.
Without an invitation, is it? Well, we old people are used to such reluctance. When it touches our honor, we cast about until we find some way of overcoming it. And so, my boy, invitation or not, you are, believe me, most welcome.
I hope you'll pardon my saying it, but I haven't the slightest idea what you're talking about.
Oh, so that's it. Dead to rights, but still pretending, eh? You're a clever rogue.
Sir,
right.
My name is Denis de Beaulieu. I am not a guest in your house by my own choice, and I am not accustomed to being...
Nor is the house of Maltroits accustomed to certain things, of which you well know.
Maltroits? I should have expected better treatment at the hands of one of the most honored families of France.
Honored indeed, until you, Monsieur de Beaulieu, took it upon yourself to dishonor us.
Sire de Maltroits, I have attempted to explain that I took a stand before your door to fight off a patrol which I've encountered in the street. I assure you I had no slight intention of forcing myself Since it seems impossible for you to converse with any degree of reason, may I bid you good night? Sir, if you have your right wits, then you're insulting me grossly. And if not, I have no desire to spend further time with a lunatic.
You young fool. Thinking to get away so easily.
No power on earth can make me stay here any longer, even if I'm forced to hack that door of yours to pieces.
Ay me. And now, will you please sit down, my dear nephew?
Nephew? You lie in your teeth.
I said sit down. You think for a minute that I made a little contrivance for the door and stopped short with that? If you want to be bound hand and foot until your bones crack inside of you, then get up. Try to get away. But if you'd rather stay a free young buck, agreeably conversing with an old gentleman, Sit where you are in peace.
You mean then I am a prisoner here?
I stated the facts. Draw your own conclusions. Ah, Père Francois, come in.
Thank you, Messiah.
Tell me, how is she? A little better frame of mind, I hope.
She is more resigned, at least, Messiah.
Well, now, isn't she hard to please? A likely stripling such as this, well-born, and her own choice. What more would the jade wolf have,
If you'll pardon, the situation is not usual for a young damsel. It is somewhat trying to her blushes.
Trying, is it? Ha! She should have thought of that before the dance began. She called the turns, and now she'll do the pay.
At the risk of being presumptuous, may I ask who she is?
Ha! You hear that, Père Francois? Monsieur de Beaulieu wishes to know who she is.
I heard, Messiah.
I am pleased that you find my most casual remark so amusing.
So, you'd like to know who she is. Very well. After all, you really should know, young fella. It's only fitting for you to be introduced properly. Come along. I'll take you into she, all right. Why, that's the reason I planned the whole thing. You stubborn young scoundrelly blackguard. Come along, my boy. Right through this door.
After you, sir, if you don't mind.
Oh, no. It's not that kind of a trap. Here we are. How are you, my dear?
Oh, please, Uncle. Please have some pity on me.
Pity? But I do a great deal more than you've shown for the name of Maltroits. Come now, up off your knees and look at the friend I brought you. It's good to be devout, but it is also necessary to be polite.
I have no understanding how you can be so vicious.
Oh, that's very unkind. And now, Monsieur de Beaulieu, since we've decided to keep up this farce, allow me to present my niece, Blanche de Maltroits.
It's such an inhuman thing, surely heaven itself. He's not the man. My uncle, this is not the man.
Expected you to say as much, my dear. Is it so unfortunate you couldn't remember his name?
It's true. I swear by the Blessed Virgin, I do not know this man. Never laid eyes on him before. Please do tell him. Tell him we've never seen each other before.
For myself, at any rate, I've never had that pleasure. Sire, I've not met your lovely niece before this moment.
Oh, now isn't that too bad? But it's never too late to begin. Quite often these impromptu marriages turn out very well in the end.
Marriage? Sire de Maltroits, would you please be kind enough to explain what you mean?
Aha, now, surely you've heard of the custom of marriage. It's quite widely practiced.
At least, sir, I've never heard before of such a maniac as I perceive you to be. And I've no intention of marrying anyone.
Then may I ask what were your intentions, my boy? Oh, well, no matter now. Père Francois is looking forward to performing the nuptial rites. Oh, he's quite properly ordained, you know. So, shall we say, in 2 hours? Meanwhile, I suggest you become better acquainted.
Wait. Uncle, you can't be in earnest. I swear to you I'll kill myself before I'll be forced on this young man.
Forced? Now, come now, my dear Blanche.
Is it possible that you think I'm lying? That you still believe this is the man?
Frankly, I do.
Well, then you're wrong.
I refuse utterly even to consider...
Enough, my dear. You took it upon yourself to dishonor the name of our family. You forfeited all right whatsoever to question my designs. I consider it a duty to see that you're married with as little delay as possible. Out of the goodness of my heart, I've attempted to find the man of your choice. And I believe I've done so. But if not, then I care not one jackstraw. Is that perfectly clear?
It's clear, sir, that you're a madman.
Perhaps, my dear nephew.
I'm not your nephew, nor will I be.
We'd sooner die 1,000 times.
Oh, such a fury against the inevitable. At any rate, you have 2 hours to compose your differences. Père Francois, bring the clock.
Very well, Messiah.
Thank you. Place it there. This, Monsieur de Beaulieu, is another of my little contrivances, and one that is hardly less ingenious than my door.
Sire, your accomplishments are of no interest to me whatsoever.
Oh, I think you'll find this one most interesting. You will notice that the upper container is filled with water. In exactly 2 hours, all of the water will have dripped into the lower vessel, and at that time, I shall return. Remove the plug, Père Francois. Clever, isn't it? Well, genius is so rarely appreciated. And now I'm quite sure you'll sooner carry on your interview without an audience.
You'd never met my uncle before? He didn't arrange this with you?
I've never laid eyes on him. And certainly nothing was arranged with me, else I wouldn't be here.
Oh, then you're as much an unfortunate victim as myself.
But you at least must be more aware of the circumstances. I can understand none of this.
It's not an easy thing for a girl to tell. Whatever you may think of me now, I fear you shall think the worse when I've finished.
Words are but words. But your manner encourages respect.
Thank you, monsieur. I've lived all my life with my uncle, and I've not been happy. 3 months ago, a young captain of the guard began to stand near me in the church. Oh, you must understand. I gave him no encouragement to do so.
Oh, quite so, I understand. He was handsome, of course.
As a matter of fact, very.
Hmm.
After a while, he began to pass me notes. He found me pleasing, wanted to meet me, and seemed most interested in me for some reason.
I can believe that.
This morning, he passed me a note urging me to leave the outer door open tonight so that he could speak a few words with me on the stairs. Oh, this is most difficult for me to tell, monsieur. I'm sure he meant no harm. I've no idea how my uncle came to suspect. Sometimes his shrewdness becomes almost diabolic. After church, he took that note from my hand, read it, gave it back to me. I've been kept in my room all day, knowing nothing of what he might be planning.
So that's it. By pure accident, I blundered into a trap set for someone else.
Had my uncle brought the captain himself, the thing still would have been confusing. How should I know that he may not have been trifling with me all along? But to be forced into a situation with you, a perfect stranger...
Your regard for me is quite clear, mademoiselle. I regret appearing as a disappointment to you. I believe you said he was very handsome?
If that were all.
There's more?
I mean, monsieur, that you yourself are quite handsome.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so... Oh, no, it's really no use.
Well, please understand me. I'm not urging you in any way.
Urging, monsieur?
I'm accustomed to meeting young ladies upon occasion who are quite ready to accept me as something besides a convenient substitute for some handsome captain of the guard.
I've no doubt of it, monsieur. And to correct a mistaken impression you seem to have, I'm well aware that you're doing no urging. And were you to do so, I should neither listen to nor give it any consideration whatsoever. It's well that we both understand one another.
Quite so. And that being the case, Mademoiselle de Maltroits, I wonder if you'll be good enough to conduct me to your uncle.
With the greatest of pleasure, monsieur.
I've no doubt but what this little matter can be settled very quickly, and with as much honor as possible to everybody concerned.
The full 2 hours weren't necessary. Already harmonious accord rises triumphant.
On the contrary, Sire de Maltroits, your assumption is entirely false.
Oh, what a pity. Well, Père Francois, there's nothing to it. We'll simply have to wait a while longer.
As you say, Messiah.
I fear it may be much longer than you think. In fact, forever.
That's a very long time indeed. And you, my dear niece, what are your sentiments in the matter?
I will not marry this man. Do what you may, uncle, I will not marry him.
Right back where we started. Can it be that our young friend is lacking in perception, Père Francois?
It is possible, Messiah.
I'm not at any rate lacking in a sense of honorable conduct. Dragged in here against my will, I've addressed your niece in the manner of a gentleman. I found her charming, lovely, delightful.
Monsieur.
But now I have the honor of declining your offer of her hand. Let that end the matter.
Oh, it's not as simple as that. Take a look from my window there, and tell me what you see on the wall beneath it.
What do you mean?
See for yourself.
Whatever it is can have no bearing on the matter. There's an iron ring set in the wall.
Quite so, and fastened to the ring?
A rope.
Right. So we have two elements. And to complete our little diagram, we need a third one. That element is, at the moment, firmly attached to your body. I'm referring, sir, to your neck.
Uncle, no.
And may I inquire the purpose of the dogs there in the courtyard below? Are they also a part of your devilish plans?
My dear young man, a body doesn't hang in ropes forever, you know.
You maniac. Even murder doesn't stop you.
Ooh, that's such a nasty word. Let us confine ourselves to the bald facts. At the end of your 2 hours, you will prepare yourself either to marry my niece or to kick out your life while you swing at the end of that rope. There's no other alternative.
I think there's one. Between gentlemen, at any rate. Arm yourself, sir.
You fool. You think for a moment that if I'd regarded your sword as a threat, you'd still be wearing it? Père Francois, will you open that door to the passage, please?
Of course, Messire. I'll be most happy to.
Gentlemen, show this rash young buck the color of your steel. Whether he likes to admit it or not, Monsieur de Beaulieu, one day a man grows too old to fight his own battles and must hire others to do it for him. Close the door, Père Francois.
Then you'll not fight?
Do I seem a fool? There'll be no fighting and no haughty refusal to marry my niece. You found her charming. Well and good. But I'll tell you this. Were she as common as the Paris road, more hideous than the gargoyle over my door, you'd not spurn the hand of a Maltroits and never live to tell of it. Alive and married you'll be, or dead and hanging from that window, and soon after, food for the dogs. It's one or the other. So, make up your mind.
Please, Monsieur de Beaulieu, why do you not sit down?
Your concern is most gratifying, mademoiselle. Since I have such a short time to live, I doubt that I'll grow very tired.
If the time be short, then why do we waste it in formal speech?
As you will. Listen to it. Drip, drip, drip. That devilish clock, like an artery opened and life's blood itself dripping away.
Well, I've sat here and thought until my whole mind's in a great whirl.
Please, you really shouldn't trouble yourself so much.
I can't bear to have you slain for my sake. Monsieur de Beaulieu, I will marry you gladly.
You must think, then, that I stand very much in fear of death.
Oh, no. I've had reason to see that you're no coward.
I've asked for no pity. If the thing has to be, then that's the end of it.
Oh, sir, you misunderstood me. Why, the great nobility with which you faced my uncle should have removed all question about your bravery, had such doubts existed.
That is most kind of you to say so.
Not, of course, that anyone could raise such questions once they've seen you.
Death's another incident. That's all.
Oh, but life's a better one. You'll agree, then?
I'm afraid you underrate the difficulty. What your generosity offers me, my pride prevents accepting. In this moment of noble feeling toward me, aren't you forgetting what you already owe to someone else?
Monsieur, he never really mattered.
Mademoiselle, my very life's the forfeit here. One I'll pay gladly if it be of service to a lady, but to tell me it's for something that never really mattered.
Please, don't be so cruel.
Cruel, you forget. I'm the one who's going to die, not you.
I've not forgotten, monsieur.
Yes. You'll enjoy tomorrow's sun like any other days. And tomorrow night, perhaps you'll see him again. And of course, I'll be forgotten.
Oh, no, never.
But it's all a man can expect when he's born into the world, death at last. And some piece of ironic misfortune.
Oh, don't say those things. I can't bear it.
Oh, if I've said anything to wound you, I'm sorry. It was for your own sake, not mine.
Thank you.
Please. It's a bitter thing, my dear, to see you in such distress that giving my life itself for you can't help it.
I'm sorry. I'll try to be braver. Is there no way at all in which I can serve you? Either now or afterwards?
Only by letting me think of you as a friend for the brief time that's left to us. By forgetting for the moment that I'm an awkward intruder thrown here by circumstance. That's all.
And afterwards?
What does it matter? The closer you come to it, the clearer you see that death's no more than a dark and dusty corner where a man climbs into his tomb and shuts the door after himself.
Oh, monsieur.
I've only a few friends now. And once I'm dead, I've no doubt that I'll have none.
You forget Blanche de Maltroits.
You're very sweet. Any young man in France would be glad to trade places with me and die for you. You value the small service I do you far beyond its worth.
I'll not have you thinking so meanly of yourself. Look at me. Would you say that I am beautiful?
I think the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
I'm glad of that. Tell me, is there a man in France who can say he's been asked in marriage by a beautiful maiden, asked from her own lips and refused her to her face?
Oh, no.
I know you're a man and half despise such a triumph. But any woman knows more of what's precious than love.
But remember, you asked me out of the pity of your heart, not for love.
Are you so sure of that? Must I bear my very soul like a merchant showcase?
You're very good. As good as you're beautiful. I'll not forget it for the time that's left me.
Very well. I, too, have a pride of my own. If you turn back now from your word, I'd no more marry you than I would any stranger off the street.
It's a small love that shies at a little pride. The dawn's starting to break.
Yes. My uncle and his men will come here any moment. What shall we say to him?
Anything you will.
Oh. All of my life I'll weep for you. And weep the more because it was you.
If I'm wrong, it's a great price I'm paying for it. One I'd not pay if I didn't care for you so dearly.
Careful. Oh, no, it's you who are being kind.
It was in the moment your uncle brought me into you and you raised your face to look at me. That's when I knew.
Oh, strange. For it was then I felt it too.
You've seen already that I'm not afraid to die.
Oh, you're not. I know it.
Blanche, is it really true, not something born of pity?
I swear by all that's holy. I love you, Denis.
Oh, my beloved. And I can tell you now that I love you, too.
Even after all you've heard.
I can remember none of it.
The captain's
No
name.
matter. I love you.
Oh, my darling.
I love you more than my life and my soul. Blanche, my darling, I love you. I love you, Blanche.
Well,
Uncle.
Well. It's most gratifying to see this little matter settled in such a congenial fashion. Good morning, my dear nephew.
I have nothing to say to you, sir. You're a vicious and unprincipled old man.
Oh, that's most ungracious of you. No. At the very worst, I'm no more than a very wise old man. One who's lived a long time and seen a great many remarkable things. An old man who's learned all about such mysteries as the love of life and love.
Sire de Maltroits d'Or by Robert Louis Stevenson was adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield and produced and directed by William N. Robeson, with Elliot Lewis as Denis, Peggy Weber as Blanche, and Ramsey Hill as the Sire de Maltroits. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Feuer. Escape is presented by the Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations each week at this time. Next week, we invite you to escape to Egypt of 3,500 years ago with Arthur Conan Doyle's fascinating tale of the Ring of Thoth. And so good night until next week at this time, when again it will be time to escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are in their spacesuits at the base of a volcano on the planet Saturn, searching for a missing scientist.
Dr. Ramsey ought to be very close to this spot, Happy. The rough ground, it's hard to see more than a few yards. The doctor may have fallen into a crevice. Hey, Commander, listen. What's that rumbling? The ground's shaking. It's a volcano. It's going to erupt. We'd better find Dr. Ramsey in a hurry. We're too late, Happy. Get back to the ship. Boiling lava will be pouring down this mountain in a matter of minutes. Yes, sir. Watch your step, but hurry. Hey, Commander, our ship is gone. We're trapped.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, The Sleeping Demon of Saturn.
Say, what kind of jet jalopy are we riding in, Captain Tufeld? We'll never get to Terra City at this speed.
Well, I know what's the matter. This surface car's just got ordinary fuel in it. Let's drive into the filling station here and fill her up with super fuel. Let's try her now.
Wow, this jet cycle is supercharged now.
Sure thing. It's got super fuel. And Space Patrollers, there's a lesson in this for you. Ordinary fuel for breakfast, you're just a putt-putt. Super fuel for breakfast, you're supercharged. My advice is eat the super fuel Buzz Corey has in the morning. I mean Wheat Chex and Rice Chex, the super cereals that help to supercharge you. Real swell tasting, and they both have that modern bite-sized design for easy eating. So, gang, don't be a putt-putt. Eat the delicious super cereals that help to supercharge you. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex. And remember, inside of every package, there's a mysterious magic space picture. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are in the Commander's flagship, the Terra 5, approaching the planet Mercury, where a few hours before, a minor quake shook a small section of that innermost planet. There were no casualties and no damage to property. Yet, within the hour, every planetary capital, every scientific laboratory was buzzing with excitement. Furthermore, it caused Commander Corey to make a special trip to Mercury. Why all this interest in a harmless quake? Because it was predicted 8 years before, almost to the minute. Intently now, Happy scans the viewscope screen as the cracked and fissured surface of Mercury spins below.
We're getting close to the scene of the quake, Commander.
I'm afraid it won't look any different than the rest of this part of Mercury, Happy.
Well, I suppose not, sir. thought I'd like to be able to say that I was one of the first to see the location of the first scheduled quake. Didn't the Spaceophone newscast say that the doctor pinpointed the exact location and named the time 8 years ago?
Dr. Ramsey's predictions may have been just a coincidence. That's why I sent Tonga on ahead to Mercury City to contact him personally.
Well, predicting quakes isn't exactly new, is it, sir? I mean, in a general sort of way?
Up to now, it's been very general. Scientists have spread the predictions over areas of hundreds of square miles and allowed themselves several years leeway.
Assistant Security Chief Tonga, calling Commander Corey aboard Terra 5. Tonga, calling Commander Corey.
Corey here, go ahead.
I've contacted Dr. Ramsey, Commander. He's in Mercury City.
Good. Did you talk to him about this Mercury quake?
Yes. He says the news reports are basically true. He did predict the exact time and location of this quake 8 years ago.
Well, tell him I'll see him as soon as I reach Mercury City. That'll be in about 30 minutes. Corey out.
Commander, look. There's something down there in that clearing.
What's it look like?
A wrecked spaceship.
A wrecked spaceship?
Yes, sir.
I'll set the ship down. You get our spacesuits out of the locker.
All right, Hap, into the ship. Yes, sir. Be careful you don't puncture your spacesuit on that jagged metal. Yes, sir. Commander, there's a man in here, collapsed over the instrument panel. Now, let's take a look at him. At least he's in a spacesuit. He's still alive. Quickly, Happy, let's get him to our ship. He needs oxygen.
Just checked with Mercury City Space Control, sir. They're clearing Space Lock 3 for us.
Good, Ham.
How's the passenger, sir?
Oh, he'll be all right. He's resting back aft. It was close. If we'd been a few minutes later, he'd have been finished.
What made him crash?
Defective rocket equalizers. Lucky he wasn't killed. He told me he bought the ship at a bargain.
Some bargain?
Yeah. From nose to stern, that ship was fitted with obsolete equipment. Cheap metals covered with Endurium plating. He tells me he bought it from a man named Fran Gresham.
Fran Gresham? Name sounds familiar.
He was working a petty swindle game on Mars a few months ago. Our agents broke it up, but they couldn't get anything on Gresham. And there's nothing petty about selling defective spaceships. That's potential murder. And this time we're really going after it.
Well, Gresham, did you close the deal? Our client insisted on inspecting the ship. The only thing we found in working order was a danger sign in the atomic power compartment.
That's the third sale you've muffed this last week, Gresham. It's costing me quite a bit of money to keep up the front here in Mercury City. What we need to do is create a demand for small spaceships. Something that'll make people want a ship and not be too particular about the condition it's in. Or the price.
That's a large order, Shrike.
I know. If we could start a fake uranium rush, say to one of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn, or some kind of panic. Panic. That's it. Get people frightened and then offer them a means of escape.
How are we going to get them frightened? And of what?
Did you hear about this scientist who predicted a quake here on Mercury?
I heard something about it. I didn't pay much attention.
His name is Ramsey. 8 years ago, he predicted a quake in a certain part of Mercury and called it almost to the minute. The quake hit yesterday.
So what?
Suppose we pay him some money and get him to predict what city is going to be hit with a quake within the next few weeks. We can sell those ships in a few hours.
Suppose there isn't going to be a quake near a city.
There won't have to be one. The very fact that this guy Ramsey is making a test near a city will make people worried. Then we'll start a few rumors.
Mike, I think you've got something.
I'll call on this Doc Ramsey. And I think I know just the city that's ideal.
I'm all ready, sir. There's a service car in front of headquarters waiting to take us to Dr. Ramsey's apartment.
Oh, we'll wait here a few minutes, Happy. I'm expecting a report from Tonga and this man Gresham.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, how's the man we rescued from the wrecked ship?
Oh, he'll be all right. But he's in bad shape financially. No company would insure that ship of his because he didn't have a Space Patrol inspection certificate.
So the poor guy has to stand the loss himself.
Mm-hmm. It's an expensive lesson for him.
Commander.
Oh, yes, Tonga.
I haven't been able to find out much about this Fran Gresham, but I've learned one thing. He's here in Mercury City, or at least he was within the last 2 days.
Where can we locate him?
I don't know. But he's been seen with a man named Rupert Shrike.
Oh, probably he's planning to sell Shrike one of his broken-down ships.
No, Happy. Apparently, Shrike is backing Gresham, helping him to put up a front to impress clients.
Conger, assign 2 of our agents to tail Shrike. Find out how he contacts Gresham, and we can get a line on them.
All right, Commander.
Okay, Happy. Let's get over to Dr.
Mr. Strike, I find your offer very attractive.
Well, then you'll accept, Doctor?
Well, I'd like a little time to think it over. Well, see, I hardly expected to be called on to predict quakes for a private person. Tell me, Mr. Strike, what region are you interested in?
Kepler City on Saturn. I have some property there.
You don't need to worry, Mr. Strike. Kepler City is safe probably for centuries to come.
Well, then you've already tested it?
Yes, years ago. But you can rely on the assurances of other quake experts.
But Kepler City is fairly near a volcano, Doctor.
I know. The sleeping demon. That volcano is all but inactive. Sends up a little smoke occasionally. Even if it did erupt, which is unlikely, the city is in no danger.
But suppose a quake shifted the strata under the cone. Wouldn't that cause a violent eruption?
It would take a fairly violent quake to do that. And that's most improbable.
Make a test anyway. I'll raise my offer to 2,000 credits.
No, Mr. Strike, thank you. Any further test would be a waste of time.
Look here, Ramsey. I came here with a legitimate offer. Don't pull this high-toned devotion to science business on me.
I'm not interested, Mr. Strike. Now, will you excuse me?
You listen to me, Ramsey. I can make you mighty anxious to make that test if you don't listen to reason.
Is that a threat?
Take it as a threat if you want to. I've made up my mind. You're going to make that test. If I have to use force. Get rid of him. I'm not leaving here till I get what I want.
Very well. Dr. Ramsey? Yes, come in, Ramsey. Thanks. Come on. Yes, Commander, this gentleman is Mr. Strike. How do you do, Mr. Strike?
Nice to meet you, Commander.
Mr. Strike feels he has urgent business with me.
We can discuss it later.
On the contrary, I'll discuss it right now. Commander, I think this is something you should know. I never saw this man until a few minutes ago. He comes into my apartment and threatens to force
That's enough of that, Ramsey.
Let him talk, Shrike. You'll have your turn later.
Yeah, well, it's my turn right now.
Put away that ray gun.
Look out, Commander. Give me that gun.
Get back to that.
Oh.
You realize what you've done.
Yeah. I shot the commander-in-chief of the Space Patrol and this cadet. That ought to convince you I mean business. Now, come on, Ramsey. Let's go.
Where are you taking me?
To Saturn. We're going to predict the destruction of Kepler City.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Say, gang, how are you at imitation? Well, this is Captain Dick Tufeld speaking, and here's my idea of how a cosmic surface car sounds with just ordinary fuel in its tank. But. Well, now here's that same car with super fuel in its tank. But. Yes, sir. That cosmic surface car is really roaring now because it's supercharged with super fuel. And the same is true with you, gang. What happens to you when you have ordinary fuel for breakfast? Well, you move like this. But. That's right. You're just a putt-putt. But when you fill up your tank with super fuel, man, you're supercharged. So eat a power breakfast with Rice Chex or Wheat Chex and get supercharged. Flavor galore in every bite-sized biscuit. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex. And inside of every package, you get a mysterious magic space picture. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Sleeping Demon of Saturn. Dr. Ramsey has perfected the method of predicting quakes. Two criminals, Shrike and Gresham, plan to force the doctor to predict a quake and eruption of a volcano near Kepler City on the planet Saturn. This, they figure, will create a near panic in the city, thus enabling them to dispose of defective spaceships at an enormous profit for people anxious to leave the danger area. When Dr. Ramsey attempted to tell the commander of Shrike's threat, Shrike whipped out a ray gun, rendered Buzz and Happy unconscious, then forced the quake expert to accompany him to Saturn.
Now, an hour later, the two space patrolmen are regaining consciousness in the doctor's apartment in Mercury City.
I almost had him, Commander, but he turned the gun on me.
Well, he must have been out for about an hour. Shrike could be off Mercury by now.
Where's Dr. Ramsey?
Shrike probably took him along.
Well, what kind of business would he have with Dr. Ramsey?
Whatever it was crooked. The minute Dr. Ramsey started to tell us, Shrike pulled a gun. Let's get to Mercury City headquarters and send out an alarm.
Where are we now, Shrike?
We just crossed the Mars orbit. How's the doc?
I put something in his coffee to put him to sleep. That'll hold him till we reach Saturn.
Good. We'll keep Ramsey pretty well under cover. But we'll be around with our quake detecting equipment, setting it up in the region of the volcano. We'll be seen by spaceships and atmosphere cruisers, lugging heavy equipment up and down the slope of the sleeping demon. Every 3 or 4 days, we'll come back to Kepler City looking very grim and worried.
Well, like we found out bad news, huh?
Exactly. And we'll drop a few hints, just enough to get people worried.
Like the volcano is going to erupt?
Yes. The wise boys will figure the authorities aren't letting the people know what's going on. So everybody will try to outwit everybody else to save his own skin.
How long is it going to take?
It'll have to work in about 3 days. So we can have our men sell the ships and then clear out. By the time the Space Patrol gets wind of it, we'll be...
Happy, are all those agents' reports in?
All except Jupiter and Neptune, sir. All negative. No word on Shrike, Gresham, or Dr. Ramsey.
It's been 3 days now. Shrike may dispose of the doctor just to keep him from talking.
Oh, sir, there's a message for you here to call Jupiter City headquarters.
Is it from Congress?
I don't know, sir. It just said Station 22.
Shrike is supposed to operate out of Jupiter City. Maybe Congress found out something. Commander Corey at Mercury City headquarters calling Jupiter City Space Patrol headquarters, Station 23. Commander Corey calling Station 23, Jupiter City headquarters.
Jupiter City headquarters, Station 23. Tonga here.
Have you located Shrike?
No, Commander. We can almost be certain that neither he nor Gresham came to Jupiter City after they blasted up the Mercury.
And you probably haven't anything on Dr. Ramsey either.
No, that's a rather ridiculous rumor.
What kind of rumor, Tonga?
Heard it from an engineer who just got in from Kepler City on Saturn. He repeated it only because he thought it was a joke. Some people in Kepler City think Dr. Ramsey is making quake tests around the sleeping demon.
The inactive volcano near the city?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't make much sense. If Dr. Ramsey were there, he'd let the authorities know he was all right.
The engineer says he's talked to 2 intelligent men in Kepler City who are convinced that the sleeping demon is going to erupt.
Well, that's impossible. It's a dangerous rumor if it catches hold. I'm glad you told me about this, Tonga. I want you to contact Professor Hammond at the Jupiter University.
Professor Hammond?
Yes. He's also an expert on quakes. Tell him to go to Kepler City, explain the situation to him, and tell him that we want a public assurance from him that the city isn't in danger.
All right, Commander.
And Tonga, when you reach Kepler City, check on the source of those rumors. Hurry out. Professor Hammond may be able to make people disregard the rumor, but I'd like to find out what's behind it. You and I'll pay a surprise visit to Kepler.
Shrike, you better get out of here quick.
What's the matter, Gresham?
Just found out that Corey's assistant security chief is here in Kepler City.
What about it? That doesn't mean she's looking for us.
No, but she showed up with another expert on quakes, Professor Hammond from Jupiter University. Just released a statement that the public has nothing to fear. The volcano won't erupt. No quakes are possible in this region.
Good. That's wonderful.
What's so wonderful about it? She's going to buy our spaceships after they hear what Hammond says.
Who's going to listen to Hammond when the sleeping demon starts spouting molten lava?
What are you talking about? The volcano isn't going to erupt.
It will. With a boost from a cosmic bomb dropped into the crater. Huh? We'll put a time fuse on it, so it'll blow up in about 12 hours. Of course, it won't be enough of an eruption to harm the city, but it'll panic the population. Then we'll do plenty of business.
Make Hammond look silly.
Not only that, but nobody will believe anything the local authorities say after that. It'll be every man for himself.
What about Ramsey?
They'll put him in a spacesuit and leave him near the top of the crater. The volcano will erupt before he gets down. Dr. Ramsey will never be seen again.
Well, let's work fast. I want to get out of this place.
There's the sleeping demon in the viewscope, Happy.
Wow, that's some crater.
Impressive, but perfectly harmless. Kepler City is 10 miles east of the volcanic peak, just from the outer side.
And that's the Dardana River that flows past the base of the peak.
Right. When we get closer, you can see how the water has worn away the lava on the edge of the riverbank. That shows the last eruption of the sleeping demon was thousands and thousands of years ago.
Assistant Security Chief Tonga calling Commander Corey aboard Terra 5. Tonga calling Commander Corey.
Corey here, go ahead.
Commander, you were right about those rumors. There's more to them than I thought.
What did you find out, Tonga?
Two men who have been making quake tests near the volcano fit the descriptions of Shrike and Gresham. The third, maybe, Dr. Ramsey.
Where are they now?
They blasted up from Kepler City spaceport several hours ago. So far, they haven't come back yet.
Have you found out where they're staying in the city?
Yes, I have. It's at 147 North Polaris.
Well, watch it, Tonga. If they show up, notify headquarters.
Yes, Commander. There's one thing more. An atmosphere ship reported seeing a man in a spacesuit on the south slope of the volcano. Seemed to be under stress. Kept waving.
All right, Tonga. We'll check the slope before entering the atmosphere shell. Corey out. South slope. That's the side toward the river. Cut our velocity happy. We'll see if we can find them.
I don't see anyone, sir. The lava's so jagged and covered with mounds and gullies.
If our man is in the shadow, we'll never see him.
And if it's Shrike or Gresham, he doesn't want us to.
Oh, wait. Something moved down there, near the bottom of the slope.
I see it, sir. It's a man in a spacesuit, and he's waving.
Get our spacesuits out of the locker, Happy. We'll land on that level space near the river and go after him.
Looks right. We've dropped the bomb in the crater and left Ramsey down on the slope. Now let's get back to the city.
Don't be stupid, Gresham. We'll show up an hour after the volcano erupts with a story of how we tried to rescue our companion, but the lava got to him before we did.
Who's going to bother listening to us then? We'll be running around trying to leave the city.
Sure, but at least we'll have an alibi in case we need it. Uh-oh. Look down there at the base of the slope.
Spaceship?
Yes, and it's Corey's.
You must have spotted Ramsey. Let's get out of here, quick.
Wait till we're sure they're out of sight of their ship, and we'll set down near it. I'll blast off in Terra 5 and meet you in Turquoise Canyon north of here. The sleeping demon will be spouting lava in about 15 minutes. If Corey's ship is gone, we'll get him.
I've lost sight of him, sir. Head as straight up the slope as you can, Happy. For a minute, I got a good look at him. His white spacesuit really stood out against that black lava. Dr. Ramsey, all right. Oh. Hey, the gray rock, it slid right out from under me. Better stay clear of them, Hap. They're extremely light. If you just touch them, they're likely to roll. And it looked like it weighed a half a ton. That slab you stepped on is clear down the slope by the river now. It's likely to happen to us if we don't watch our step. Yeah, I wonder what became of Dr. Ramsey. He may have fallen into a crevice. Commander, listen. What's that rumble? The ground's shaking. It's the volcano. It's going to erupt. We better find Dr. Ramsey in a hurry. We're too late. Get back to the ship. Boiling lava will be pouring down this mountain in a matter of minutes. I'll go up a few yards farther. You head for the ship. Hurry. Yes, sir, but can't I go? Go on and watch your step. Commander, our ship's gone. There's our ship. Circling toward the north. We're trapped. Happy, look. There's Dr. Ramsey. Come on, let's get him. With luck, we might be able to keep out of the way of the lava. Dr. Ramsey. Come on. We've got the bomb in the crater. Henry, he's been hurt, Happy. We'll have to help him. Commander, the lava's pouring down the side. Watch out for those rocks. Come on. Get to the bottom quickly. Commander, what are we going to do? The lava's almost on top of us. The river. The river. That wouldn't do us much good. The lava would just come in after us. Right. Look, on each side of us there's a stream of lava pouring into the river. Yeah, and in a few minutes we'll be buried. But wait a minute. Look out there in the river. See those gray rocks? The rockets are floating. Rocks floating on water. There's some big flat ones near the edge. Each one of you get to one. We'll use them as rafts. Float down the river to Kepler City.
Frank, I don't like the idea of coming back to Kepler City.
We've got to destroy all evidence that we were here, then we can blast off. Besides, the whole town's excited over that volcano. They won't notice us.
Let's get inside, finish up what we have to do. I want to get away from here.
Don't be in such a rush. We'd better stick around and keep track of our salesmen. We don't want to be double-crossed on those spaceship sales. There we are.
Well. Gresham, we have company. Grab her, Gresham.
Stay where you are, both of you.
I've got it, Frank.
Let's go.
Hold her, Gresham. Now, this changes my plans. We'll have to finish her right here. Then we'll blast off.
Hurry up, then. There may be other Space Patrol agents around. That's all right.
Corey, get your ray gun, Gresham.
Not this time you don't. I'll get right, sir.
All right, Happy. Pick up their weapons.
Yes, sir.
Are you all right, Tonga?
Yes, Commander. And I've got the names of the rest of the gang.
On your feet, Strike. How'd you get away from that volcano? It was simple. We just floated down the river on a rock. Let's go. You floated down... You don't expect me to believe that?
This Saturn is a very strange planet, Strike. If it's got an extinct volcano that erupts, well, it surely can have rocks that float. You heard the commander. Come on, let's go.
An exciting preview of next week's adventure in just a moment. It's a dark night, pitch black. The night you first see the purple comet. At first, it's just a blur. Then you see it clearly. A fiery comet flying through the dark. It's hard to believe, and yet you can see it. A huge ball of purple fire. You know what you've been looking at? An atomic particle on a 2-inch slide. And you've been seeing it through a microscope. The Space Patrol microscope. Buzz Corey sent it to you, and boy, are you glad. This amazing microscope magnifies objects 15 times their natural size. And with it, you also got that terrific slide containing the atomic particle. Yes, sir, Space Patrollers, that's the kind of fun you'll have when you send for your official Space Patrol microscope. And to not only get the mystery slide with the atomic particle on it, you get more slides, 4 more, all crystal clear. Slides you place tiny objects on. And when you do that and place them under your microscope, wow, you see objects 15 times their natural size. You see details that leave you blinking in surprise. Insects look like men from Mars. A human hair reminds you of a giant python snake. Why, you actually see the living creatures in a drop of water. What a microscope! What power! What magic! And just think, it's pocket size. You can take it with you everywhere, just 5 inches high. Yet it magnifies objects 15 times. And built, man, oh man, solid plastic body, solid plastic lens tube, solid glass lens optically ground, scientific guide chart, and foolproof markings for accuracy built right on a microscope examination platform. And the lens tube can be used all by itself to examine objects like the bark on trees, rust on tin cans, the webs of spiders. But don't wait. Send for this thrilling Space Patrol microscope kit today. Just buy a box of rice checks or wheat checks. Then with your name and address, send 25 cents in coin and a rice checks or wheat checks box top to Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. This offer good only in the USA and may be withdrawn at any time. That's Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are aboard the deluxe passenger spaceship, the Supernova, headed for the planet Saturn. As they enter a private compartment in search of a criminal, the occupant of the compartment pulls a ray gun on them.
Just keep moving down the corridor, Commander. You too, Cadet.
Going to a lot of trouble. You must be counting on taking quite a lot of money from Grayson.
Think what you like. All right, hold it. This is where we part company. Just open this little metal door. Now, crawl in there, both of you.
You can't put us in there. It's the ship's rubbish disposal chute.
I know what it is. Get in.
Well, before we reach Saturn, that chute will be emptied. Into space.
Yes, Commander. Blast of compressed air will sweep you out of the ship. And no one will know where you've gone.
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling story, Trouble Aboard the Supernova, when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Wilson again present Space Patrol! Special bulletin for boys and girls in Altoona and Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and Albany, New York. Buzz Corey's own space battle cruiser, the Ralston Rocket, will be in your area next week. Don't miss it. The Ralston Rocket. Gang, here's how you can make your own Space Patrol helmet. All you need are things like cardboard and paper clips. Read all about it in the August issue of Woman's Day magazine. Tells you how to make an official Space Patrol guard helmet and desert crash helmet. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devery. Other players were Nina Berra, Norman Jolly, Ken Mayer, and Stephen Robertson. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Wollston again present Space Patrol! Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol program on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.